You can stand for the pledge, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, make sure everybody's mic is turned on, and then we'll do the roll call.
Commissioner Robbins?
Here.
Commissioner Walter?
Here.
Commissioner Bunnick?
Present.
Commissioner Wessel?
Here.
Commissioner Campbell?
Present and here.
Commissioner Algier?
Oh my gosh, this is a choice. I'm here.
Chairman Yoder?
Here.
All present.
Present's coming in.
Happy Christmas.
All right, we got a quorum. With that, next up we have approval of the agenda. Any late additions or deletions? Guess we have no late additions. Understand? All right, Mr. Wessel?
I move to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Discussion? Not all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, next up we are up to communications, and we have an update from our administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The two items that are listed on the agenda are the Blue Cross Blue Shield and Point Broadband. With respect to Blue Cross Blue Shield, we still expect to receive our renewal documents in September, and that will really be, as I've indicated before, our decision time regarding whether there be any changes to the benefit structure. I have received and will provide to you some benefit benchmarking with some similar governmental entities within our geographic area and the benefits that they provide, so you can have that for your information. The program regarding the drug costs, the pillar program that you adopted a couple months back, is scheduled to begin on August 1st, so it has already commenced, but we have not received any indication from any employees that they've been contacted, so we do need to follow up with Blue Cross Blue Shield on that. Lastly, we do intend at the first week in September, we've got a survey that we're going to be sending out to employees, asking them for just some feedback on, if changes were necessary, which ones might they favor. So you'll have that for you at budget time. And we've also had a discussion about possible changes at the department heads meeting that occurs the day after this meeting. And while we made it clear that no decisions would be made at that meeting, it was just a matter of giving information and communicating with department heads. We've asked them to talk to their employees about their concerns and that sort of thing. So we're making a real sincere effort to communicate the possibility that there might be changes regarding the health benefits. So, as for Point Broadband, we've received indications from Point that they have completed cabinets 1 and 14. Those would be the last two cabinets to be completed. We've received an invoice, a speed test confirming the viability of the cabinet. We've received the cabinet construction reports and a list of all addresses with potential connections and the type of drops that Point will permit. This is, to my knowledge, these are the items that were sent to the broadband consultant in the past. We're going to make efforts to have all of those documents in-house for all of the cabinets, either from the consultant or for Point or whatever. So we have those in case we do get questions about who got connected or who didn't get connected. We're in the process of verifying the address lists. The red dots on the maps that you see here are the addresses that Point has indicated they've completed. We don't really have the resources to either go to the cabinet and verify them, but in some respects, we have to take their word that those are the connections that they've established. There are a couple areas where we believe they were not, like down here on the eastern shore of Lake Leelanau, where there were not their addresses but no connections in their list. We believe those were intentionally left out of the contract because they were already serviced by another company. So there's still some work to be done to verify that, and we'll confirm to you, I hope, by this Friday, that we're satisfied that the invoice can be paid, and since it's the last invoice, or the last cabinets to be constructed, we'll be closing out that contract and making final payment, and I hope to confirm to you by my Friday communication, or sooner if possible, how that payment will be made and when, so you can be alerted to it and comment as you see fit. So, and then the final, it's not on the list, but I should have to you emailed later today or tomorrow at the latest the monthly update that I've promised you in the past. I haven't had an opportunity to complete it because of some things that came up over the last couple of days unexpectedly. So that's my report, Mr. Chair. Any questions?
Questions from commissioners?
You might, Jim, go into a little bit of the calls that you're getting that are
Oh, good point, Alan.
more.
Good point. Most of the calls we're getting now are not, whereas perhaps in the past we're getting calls about when will I be connected. We're now mostly getting calls about, concerns about how the connection was made. That I was promised an underground or a buried connection, and it's hanging up in the tree or something like that. Those are primarily the calls we're getting now. So it appears as though any people that have wanted to be connected are getting connected, and most of the things that we're, as I say, are getting now are really more service issues that are the responsibility of Point Broadband. And we anticipate at some point, once we've closed out the contract, a communication to the public that, from any number of media, perhaps newspaper ad, whatever, that here's, if you wanted a connection, you should have it, and all other service type of issues need to be addressed directly to Point Broadband, because we're out of the construction business now. That's a good point.
I have to add that when you do your public announcements, there are still 220 some people on the southwest corner of the county who still have nothing. So they just might react to an announcement that ignores the fact.
I'll certainly talk to you about that before we make any sort of public announcement that we're done. The other interesting thing that I will note too is I don't know if this is universally around the county, but the neighborhood that I'm in has been served in the past by Spectrum, and I was surprised when I saw cable being installed down the street that I live on. And when I contacted Point, they said they're doing some building at their own expense. They kind of fill in gaps that now that they have a core customer base, they can afford to do that. And that's what they're doing in my neighborhood. And in fact, for the first time ever, over the course of the last year or so, every once in a while I'll put my address in to see if Point will service it. And I usually would call this number and we'll tell you what our plans are. Yesterday I did it as we were reviewing this. I just put my number in and I got, here's the speeds you can get if you want to connect. So apparently they are ready to start servicing, even in areas that were not part of the county finance construction project.
Well, that was part of why they wanted to cover the whole county and become a
I agree.
competitor.
Mhm.
So we always knew there were going to be lots and lots of addresses covered that we weren't paying for.
I think that's, all I'm saying is that
Yeah,
I'm
so there's a
confirming that that's-
bonus. You guys have a choice now.
I'm confirming that that's actually happening.
So it was a huge bonus to many people in the county to have Point come in.
Would not disagree.
I had a very long list of people in the north end of the township that were really skeptical that they'd be connected, including the lighthouse. And I checked on that whole list by making phone calls, and I think Leelanau Township residents are very happy.
In fact, I was in a meeting last week, and the individual that's in charge of the lighthouse indicated they were connected and very pleased with their service.
All right, any other commissioner questions for our administrator? All right, if not, we will move on to the communication, our early childhood program, annual update by Michelle Klein, I believe.
Hey, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've seen you all more than usual recently. Not a bad thing. Okay, so early childhood. So I gave you all hard copies of the annual report, and you also have it electronically. It's also available on our website. And there's extra copies up there if anybody would like to take one. And you can read that. I don't need to read that to you, but a couple of things I'd like to point out. The first is that this is the 2024 annual report. So at the end of 2024, we had 407 children in 301 families enrolled in parenting communities. I can share that as of June 30th, and we did a quarterly report this past June, we had 464 kids. So we're continuing to connect with more and more children and families. And we're estimating there's about 1,000 children of that age group that we're targeting. So, we're at 46% now, and we continue to see that number go up. The other thing I want to bring to your attention is on the last page of the annual report, we have a whole list of the partners that we've worked with over the last year. And I just want to publicly acknowledge how important those partnerships are. It's really a group effort, and it's not only the great organizations we're working with, but a lot of individual volunteers. So, we couldn't have the impact we do without. So I just want to make note of that. Are there any questions about the annual report? Move on.
You work a lot with the term enrolled, and I'm wondering what that means, what that definition might be.
So that means that generally those people have participated in at least one activity or service. So when families come to us, they fill out a registration or enrollment form. So, that's how we're able to kind of track how many families, how many kids, and connect with them. And then they get the newsletters and they come to the events.
Are you going to talk about the budget at all?
I sure am.
Okay, then I'll
Yeah.
wait.
That's next.
Be
Ready?
good.
Yes. So, all right, so let's move on then, if there's no other questions about the annual report, to the 2026 budget and plan that you have in your packets. Again, there's not a lot that's different in the work plan, but there are some things that I want to point out to you as we get into this. First is, I'm sharing that, so a couple of years ago, we connected with the kindergarten teachers and we're asking, what are they seeing? This was just post-pandemic, what are these kids experiencing coming into kindergarten? And there was a lot of concern about literacy, social emotional development as those kids entered. So one of the things that parenting communities did at that time is they created the school readiness booklet, which we give out to families. We share activities with playgroups, home visits. Great Start has started using this as well. And I have copies of things that you want, so you can learn about them here. So we've been working on this. And then this past, at the end of the school year, I met with all of the school superintendents with that same question. What are they seeing and what can we do on our end? And we had some really good discussion. So what we will be doing this next fall is we're bringing in somebody who's going to be our liaison with the schools and working with the superintendents, the early childhood teachers, and looking at, is there something more substantial or impactful that we can do or significant? So we'll be having a direct connection and strategizing together. So the person that will be doing that is Tammy Sorensen. Some of you have heard of her. She's worked in our school health programs for a few years now, and she's part-time school nurse up at Northport. And so she's adding this to her repertoire. She's got good connections with all of her schools. So I'm excited about that. Let's see, what else? We've talked about the infant car seats. We've had that discussion here. I love the idea. So we're working on how that can be implemented over this next year. So the goal is that every new baby will have a safe infant car seat. We can deliver that seat. We can show the parents how to install it correctly. And then at the same time, give them information about parenting communities, other community resources, answer questions about, whether it's prenatal care or those first days when babies are home. It's a great way to connect with virtually every family, which is what we like to do. So you'll see that is in the budget as well.
Will you be doing that before the baby's born?
Yeah, I would, because they need to have those seats before the
Yeah.
baby's born. So I
Okay.
think that would be like a last trimester, so we'll be doing a lot of marketing to connect with families and have them reach out to us in that last trimester.
That's a great idea.
So I'm excited. I think it's a really good use of funds that's helpful for families. Okay, so also, there is some money you'll notice in there I put for the child care vouchers, which we've discussed too, which is just really more of an outreach activity. And Commissioner Bunnick had, come up with this idea, and I think it's a really good one to, again, connect with families who have kids in child care in Leelanau County. So that would be just a small voucher. We don't have the details worked out. It's not a significant help necessarily in paying for child care expenses, but I put that in there. It's a great starting point. And let's see, what else I'm going to say. We're in the process of hiring 2 new community health workers to work in the Parenting Communities program. So one because of a vacancy, and the other, many of you may know Kathy Bartel. She's worked with both early childhood and kids for decades. And she is getting near retirement, and so I think she'll probably be working minimally still with us, but she's backing down some. So, and I think that's all of the updated stuff. So what questions do you have about the budget or the work plan? I'm sure there's got to be a couple. Yeah, no.
Wardell?
I'd like to talk conceptually about in particular, the vouchers, okay? I think when it was presented, as it's in here, it's used as a mechanism for connecting with families of young children.
Correct.
Understand?
That's right.
I think when Commissioner Bunnick suggested it, he meant it not as a promotion for the program, but as a direct benefit to families as the primary use of it. And I think he was looking at something a little bit more substantial. So I'm still talking conceptual, okay? And I know you guys have done a lot of work on your budget, and unfortunately, we haven't had a conversation prior to, because our fiscal years don't match up. You guys are 3 months ahead of us, and so you had things you needed to do. But I look at the growth of the program. Expenses in 2024 were $580,000. This budget is $935,000. I know we've thrown some things at you, and that's included in that. And I think prior to that, there's been, the fund balance has grown by between maybe $200,000 to $300,000 a year. So I'm still talking conceptual. Myself, as a commissioner, I like the idea of vouchers. I like the idea of using them more extensively. I think not only do they empower young families, but I think they are also a tool if we're looking for bringing young families here to, I mean, no offense, but I don't think they're coming here for a car seat, as far as living. But if we can actually help them with their budgets, this would be a way to do, I think it would encourage young people. So myself, I've not talked to other commissioners about this, but I would like to see more, a move towards holding the expenses to what has been a traditional range. It went between 522,000 and 580,000 for 3 straight years. And then using that money for a more extensive voucher program run through your office. I haven't talked to you about this.
Right.
So
We've had a lot of conversation about that, though. Well, 2 things. The first, just as far as the numbers go, our budget this last year was
728,
something like that.
728.
And so there always will be those increases in expenses. But I would love to do more to support childcare. And I think this is my take on it. This is, you all, this.
Let's talk conceptually, yes.
So, and I
please.
know there've been a lot of discussion over the years on what we can do legally and not do legally, and with village dollars and all of that. And I would love to see, just a little work group, a few people get together and look at what's feasible to do. And there's a lot of logistics to doing something like that, which I'm not opposed to, but we need to know, can we legally then go down that path? So if you guys are open to it, I would love to have a little group together. And it may not be this year, or it may be mid-year, and we have some kind of amendment. It would take some planning for sure.
If we have a work group, I would like to be on it. If we have a work group, I'd like to be on it.
I don't know if the work group would have come from me, or would that be something that you all.
But that's a good thing to discuss.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, we could discuss
But I think
that.
that would be, we talked about this, kind of talked around the idea loosely for a while, and, for a long time, it was we just can't do it. So if there's a change of thought that maybe we can, I think we should explore whether we can.
I have a quick question. The 935, does that include what you need as an overlay between January and collecting new taxes?
It's, I'm not as focused on what you collect, because again, your budget year is different, and this is what it will cost for us to do business, to do what we want to do for the 12-month period of time. So I look at this as kind of starting in October 1st as our fiscal year, but knowing that there's that sort of year, 3 months in between.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, you're in a tough spot because of that 3-month
It's
gap.
not the only funding source we have that's kind of different from our fiscal year, so we just work with it.
Commissioner Mike?
Yeah, I guess I was a little disappointed that instead of looking into the vouchers or spending 100,000 on the vouchers, we're gonna spend it on another person coming to work in there. It changes, it's focusing it a little different on more people. I mean, and people are almost 90% of your budget already. So, I wanted to see it go out to more people and help the families with children, as opposed to having one more government worker. And that especially where the tax dollars are so high for young families. So I guess that the focus is continue growing government, and it's not helping the people. I mean, it is helping it, because that person, I'm sure, will help tremendously, but yet I see the focus going a different way than I was hoping it would go, I guess.
I think it's important to have the people to provide the services to the community, right? And as you know, right, we're never going to be, even if we do something really fabulous with child care support, that's going to take some manpower. I mean, everything we do takes people. So if we want to provide car seats to people, that takes people. If we want to really work in on kindergarten readiness, that we know is an issue, that it takes people that can focus their energies on getting that work done. So I see what you're saying, but I think we're not talking about bureaucratic people here, we're talking about direct service connected with the people, the folks in the community.
Right, the Commissioner Wessel, actually, just for that, somebody, we're having static out there, I can hear it out there. Do you have a phone too close to any of the mic? Does anybody have your phone up there or not? No?
My things are over
I
here.
don't know.
Yeah, it can't be anywhere on the, shelf.
It's up, I've always had it on the shelf.
Well, I think last meeting we had some.
All right, Commissioner Wessel?
I hear Commissioner Bunnick, when we started, we had 20% of the kids in the county participating, eligible kids, and now we're at 45. It does take people to deliver the service, and most of the services are almost one-on-one. So we're still below the cost estimated when we formed the program several years ago. The lowest year was the year of COVID when we started. So we're not going to be able to deliver the services unless we continue to provide the funds. I would support vouchers as well, and I like the idea of doing it, but I would really hope that we figure out how to make sure that we were supporting accredited kinds of programs. We got to be careful that we don't just pay for a program or a service that we don't know anything about the quality. So if the work group, I hope, would look at the requirements for providing vouchers and ensuring that it's good service.
And there are some, even Michigan has some pretty extensive models for doing that and looking at licensed providers and license exempt providers. And there are models we can look at. There are a lot of logistics. Like you're right, it's a lot to figure out the payment systems and the approval systems and eligibility and all of that wonderful stuff.
Okay, Commissioner Walter and then Commissioner Rivera.
I hate to, well, no, I don't. We are talking budget stuff now, and we're gonna have budget sessions, and I think right now we're getting an overview of what's going on right now, and that's perfect, but the conversation bringing it into the budget is not what we're doing here. And we can focus on the budget when we do the budget, but right now, we just need the overview of the programs. We're dragging this out and beating a dead horse that we can't talk about or do anything about right now anyway. So that's food for thought. And we talk about our meetings lasting for 6 hours, and this is why. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Algar and then Commissioner Wessel.
I think we have to remember this is an early childhood program to serve children and with the goal of preparing children for school and adulthood and a healthy life. For that, you need people to do the teaching. Young children need adults to teach, to be with them, to guide them. Helping with childcare expenses it's not early childhood. That's a completely different thing. That's budgeting problems in modern day. That's the cost of things today, which is tough and outrageous. And yes, childcare expenses are really, really hard. I think that's a completely different category. Sending people money that does nothing to raise successful people.
Commissioner Wessel?
It is important that we talk budget because at our September meeting, we must set the levy rate for the next year. So we do need to have decisions made on how much we're going to levy. We haven't levied since the first year the full amount, and I suspect we won't levy the full amount this year. But we have to know what we're going to spend so we know what we have to levy. So it is important that we have these discussions now.
Wow.
All right, any other, Commissioner Campbell?
Well, there is, you have that decision before we really get into our budget process of whether to hire personnel or to use that money in a different direction. we are the policy setting, policy setting board of that. I know there's a lot of folks who recommend to us, but here's where the buck stops, is right here. So this is the time for the conversation, rather than waiting until people are hired and programs are in place and that money is already dedicated to a different source. I mean, I'm not saying cut any personnel. What I'm saying is if you're going to add to personnel, then that's in a direction that I think, that I know I wanted to go, and this is just me, I wanted to go more in the direction of, well, let's have vouchers, because I think that they are a positive for Leelanau County. If we're serious about inviting young families here, I think that would be an incentive. No offense against your programs, but I think that would get people's feet moving more than knowing that we have, other programs for kids.
It's not childcare.
It seems to me though that there is room for both.
Well, I'm
I
hoping,
mean,
yeah.
I don't know what the whole
Mhm.
brings in. It's not my area of expertise, but I don't think one excludes the other at all. So, like I said, I think it would be wonderful to really explore whether we can do something more significant with supporting childcare. But it's my opinion. It's not in addition to what we're doing. Is there anything different or other than what you've been given that you will need for next month?
I appreciate what you give to the young children and the families of the county.
Thank you. Yeah,
With this
it's a good
program.
team. They're definitely dedicated to the kids and they've had some pretty significant impacts in our families here, so they do good work.
I sure
I
could use
appreciate
this.
all the effort and into the budget that you've set up, and I think it gives us plenty to look at and to understand.
Okay. And I'm always open to sit down individually if you have any questions or want to just talk through how things are decided and what we're doing. Always open to those discussions, so.
I'd like to just add, 50 years ago, I would have really, really benefited from having a program like yours. So thank you.
We did what I didn't, I forgot to bring that actually, we just finished the evaluation for 2024. We've been using Woody Smith from Avenue ISF for evaluation, and it's done consistently great. And what we're really looking at is, are we meeting the needs of the community? Are they satisfied with what they're getting? Are we making some impact on things like parental stress and confidence in parenting? Those are all, very, very positive. And I can send the evaluation report so you guys have that. We're going to pivot. We just met with them last week, and we're going to pivot a little bit from that. Now that we've been in place for a few years, really since 2022, and looking more at return on investment and how we can quantify that a little bit. So we have you can say your tax dollars are bringing in this return on investment. So hoping over the next year and a half, we can put that data together and present that.
Irving, just a quick question. Do you have a comparison as far as to, obviously 2020 is a terrible year to compare with just because of the year that we had, but because I see on your graph here as far as salaries and all that stuff, it's a huge chunk of that with the kids and stuff. Do you have a comparison as to a couple of years ago, what that graph would have looked like? Is that staying consistent with?
The salaries?
Right, or is that growing, or with the amount of kids that we're having as well? Like, is both of them? Obviously, the kids that you're providing for is growing, so
Right.
that
So we
is.
need more people
Right,
providing
right.
services. So I'm thinking about, we've kind of gone up and down a little bit, depending on, people leaving and coming and things like that. So we definitely, since we started, have increased. We've got more community health workers working in the program, we have a little more social work time in the program. So there is some increase in staffing.
Okay.
How many more people are you planning to hire with this budget?
I think one community health worker, and then a little bit of time for the school liaison. That's not full time, that's a day a week roughly. They should be doing that. And unless we see a big surge, we do something much different. But even providing card seats and providing that information is, that takes time, so.
All right. to do one final question with Commissioner Bunning and then.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, when I've called, you responded, you got back to me as quickly as possible. I just think, that if anyone has questions or anything, she's very good at responding, and I really appreciate that.
Right,
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay.
Thank you,
All right.
Michelle.
Does anybody want one of these environmental booklets?
I would-
Yeah, I love one.
All right. With that, we'll move on to MSU. We got Jennifer here, the director, and will give us an update.
Kids. Pass this
You
one.
know, they can use it on here, right?
Like the wife, she's crazy.
Thank you.
And you. And you, Dad.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Jennifer Berkey from Michigan State University Extension, and I'm representing the office on behalf of our annual report today. Again, just as a reminder, I'm the District 3 Director, and Leelanau County is one of my counties of coverage. So we'll go ahead and queue up the report. Thanks so much, Lauren. So next slide, please. I always like to just remind a bit to you of how we're funded within our organization. We're funded from 4 main funding streams. We have our federal appropriations, we have our state appropriations, obviously our county partnerships, which are very important to us, which is why I'm here today, as well as grants being our largest funding source as an organization right now. The way that we're leveraged as an organization, for every dollar invested in what we do, it yields at least $6 in additional programs and services. So through that $1 of investment that we get through grants, we're able to leverage that to bring in additional funds and utilize that money to kind of grow more exponentially. Next slide, please. I always like to highlight the numbers because I think numbers tell one piece of the story. We obviously have additional anecdotes and that I will provide throughout the rest of my time with you today. But within our program, we do track the number of unique programs that are accessed by your residents. And last year alone, we had 234 unique programs, which is kind of the equivalent of doing a program every other day in the county. Obviously, we know we didn't do that. It was just more like accessing our programs in a more unique way. As after COVID, we realized that being available online and all sorts of streaming platforms are important to us. So I like to call us the MSU Extension Streaming Service, or something you can access right from your home. So individuals and residents can access our programs through online asynchronous learning. They can access it through videos. They can access it through traditional programs in county buildings like this. So that's the new unique way that I like to liken how we're delivering our programs, which is broadening our reach and making more of our programs accessible to you. So someone in Leelanau County can potentially access a program that's being held in Wayne County via live streaming or some sort of asynchronous learning, which is nice because traditionally to go to a program in Wayne would be potentially cost prohibitive and not very practical. But through our different ways of delivering programs now, we're finding that to be the case. So last year in Leelanau County for direct services, we had 4,708 individuals that registered for our programs through our collection of shared demographic data and county of residence. And then we also accessed over 75,000 unique page views on our 2 county Facebook pages. So again, that's not residents per se, but it's the number of individuals, that number of times someone went to a unique page view. So we clearly have a very strong, robust programming through our Facebook pages. We push out a lot of our events through that site, as well as other events that are happening around the state that would be potentially of interest to Leelanau residents. Next slide, please. Supporting agriculture and agribusiness is a cornerstone of what we do. So we have 2 different slides of staff dedicated to that within your county. So we obviously have Chris Garden here, who's housed here at Leelanau. Thanks, Chris, for being here. And then we can go to the next slide, please. And obviously we have Dr. Rob Sarine, who's here as well. So thanks, Rob, for being here. Again, we invest a lot of our resources into agriculture. Obviously, you turn around and you drive through your county, you'll see why. Next slide, please. Over the last year, over at the Horticulture Research Station, we were really pleased to host our new president's bus tour, the Spartan Bus Tour. If you got a chance to tour in your very own county, which is a treat. Obviously, the research station is our premier research facility in my area, in our territory, and I'm now that I've been to 3 different research stations, I'm going to say that it's the best, and it's not an unbiased view anymore. It's sound-based and sound empirical evidence, but nonetheless, obviously, our Leelanau folks are really committed to doing research actually that is happening on crops that you're growing here. So Nikki Rockwell and her team, through Ishmael's efforts as well as Rob, so we're able to actually do research focused on critical issues facing those growers. So again, there's multiple trials going on all the time there, leading to better data on dealing with invasives and increased profitability. Next slide, please. Integrated pest management continues to be a focus at the research station, and we are doing monthly updates for growers both via Zoom as well as in person, so they get a chance to get live updates from the research team, specifically focused on when they should be doing their spraying, what's happening in the fields, again, getting that live data of what's happening both from our grower plots that we help to kind of co-populate, as well as the sites at the research station. So we're trying to be very timely so that the growers are spending their resources wisely, spraying at the right time so that they're not overspraying, which obviously no one wants that either, but then from a fiscal perspective, both, and then as a sustainable perspective as well. Next slide, please. Just want to give a shout out to Chris and his efforts from Farm Business Management. Obviously, making sure that our growers stay profitable will ensure that Leelanau County has the beautiful view that we have as we drove in today, kind of our sprawling orchards and profitable agriculture businesses. So again, thanks to Chris's efforts, he's been really working with local growers specifically on tax-related issues, maintaining their profitability and succession planning. So you should be very blessed to have him housed in your county. It's a tremendous resource to your local growers. Next slide, please. Agribility and farm stress are two additional programs that you saw featured with some of our staff at the beginning. Both of those staff are housed in the Benzie office, so just slightly south of here. Farm stress is very important to our growers as well. I don't know if you know, but I know I shared it at previous meetings, but suicide rates are highest among that particular category of employment. So if you did suicide rates by employment category, it's the highest rate. So again, our farmers are kind of suffering a silent stress level that none of us know. And so for us, working with them and helping them manage their stress is important. So we do classes and outreach on that, as well as providing teletherapy to them for their ongoing emotional and mental health needs. We also have agribility, so if a grower is having challenges with maintaining their profession, maybe they need a small adjustment to be able to get into their tractor, maybe they need a small adjustment to be able to access their farm equipment. We can provide grants through our partnership with the Agribility program to help them remain in farming as long as they want to. And again, Sam Wolf is housed in the Benzie County office. She will work with any grower on those particular accommodations. And we work with a funding stream to help them fund that as well. So that's a nice benefit for our local growers. We want growers to be able to farm as long as they want to, for sure. Next slide, please. Obviously, working with our viticulture community is important. We are obviously gearing up for the end of the month with our annual Dirt to Glass conference. So if that's something you're interested in, we are hosting a wine tasting after that event, bringing in Michigan-based wine. So it's a small little advertisement, the commercial part of the presentation, but nonetheless, bringing in top-notch speakers to really help the viticulture community elevate their wine so that Michigan continues to be the best wine available to purchase at your local farm markets or obviously grocery stores or wineries. So again, helping them improve their quality from dirt to glass is kind of the focus of that conference. And it's going to be at the end of the month, the 22nd and 23rd of August. 21st and 22nd of August, yeah. Next slide, please. Extension Master Gardeners. Obviously, if you walked in, you saw again the beautiful pollinator bed out front. Many thanks to our Extension Master Gardeners who continue to staff that and make sure that you have the largest and prettiest native plant garden at any municipal building that I know of in the state, for sure. I know Antrim has recently done a small garden, and I do know that it is lovely, but yours is probably the largest and most beautiful, for sure. So nonetheless, Extension Master Gardeners, there were 680 Master Gardener hours, which is a net value of over $23,000 of a variety of projects. And I know one of the largest projects is the pollinator garden out front. Other projects included the Leland Public School Garden and the restoration project at Garfield's Gardens. So again, just as a reminder, what Master Gardeners do is they attend a 13-week class, and that class is largely done over Zoom now so that they occur all the time throughout the year. And then if they choose to become a volunteer with us, they go through our volunteer selection process, and then they select the volunteer hours and the sites that they would like to volunteer. So again, just another way that the work that we're doing yields impacts. They can't come and potentially come at my garden and pull weeds, but what they can do is go to gardens that are community-based, that have either a specific focus of education, community beautification, or food gleaning. Next slide, please. So again, Rob's efforts within the hops industry is very important. So again, some of the things that he's done are research and outreach, facing them is quality and disease. Rob also hosted the Hop and Vine and Dine webinar series, which provided bi-weekly updates to growers. He also led an important survey to better support hop growers in the future with the changing market demands. So again, thanks to Rob and his efforts, he also presented at the Great Beer State Conference this year, which was probably a tough job to do. We're glad we could send you. Again, working with cutting-edge conferences to help hops growers and craft beer industry learn more about trends, keeping them one step ahead of maybe what those craft brewers are interested in is some of the efforts of Rob. So next slide, please. Again, some additional pictures from Rob's event at the Michigan Great Beer Conference and Trade Show. Thanks. Next slide, please. We're going to switch gears from agriculture and turn our attention to 4-H. So just a really welcome to Danny. Do you mind standing up, Danny? Danny, if you've not met him yet, he's our new 4-H program coordinator, and I just want to give you a special shout out. We did dedicate a bit of time in our annual report just to introduce him to all of you. We're super glad to have him. He's a Leelanau County homegrown individual who celebrated his birthday last week at fair. So a big thanks to Danny for his efforts of having a birthday at the hottest day of the summer. So thanks at fair. So next slide, please. Again, that's just a nice testament to what he said during our interview and during some of his subsequent interviews. I know he's really dedicated to 4-H and has spent his lifetime in 4-H. He did 4-H as a child, and he really wants 4-H to be part of all the area use experiences here in Leelanau County. So next slide, please. I've always really believed, and I've said this at every board meeting, that there's something in 4-H for every Leelanau County kid. And you can see as evidence in the report of the myriad of different things that they can participate in. Some of the things that are featured on that slide right there is showing some of the school markets. So again, you'll see the farm markets on the bottom left with Rob with our smoothie bike, the ever popular event where we attend all 5 area local schools. We bring agriculture to the schools, teach them about where their food is grown. We teach them about animal agriculture. We teach them about 4-H. So again, just another opportunity for area youth to learn more about what makes Leelanau special and beautiful and a great place to be. We also do a lot with workforce preparedness. You see a lot of pictures of youth learning job skills, such as how to drive a tractor so they can get a job in the summer to help support maybe potentially some of their goals as a young adult. And so again, they learn job preparedness through tractor safety. Next slide, please. We also have opportunities for area youth to become leaders into the future. So again, potentially we need to always be grooming your successors, right? The individuals that will come sit and make the important decisions like all of you do. So we've always hoped to be able to feature opportunities for them. And our area youth actively take part in opportunities down in East Lansing, specifically around leadership, and then also technology and other statewide pre-college opportunities. So we liken them to a chance for them to experience what, post, obviously, high school life could be like, what it could be at a university, what can you learn at those major universities. So opportunities for them to expand their budding leadership and learn more additional skills for job preparedness and workforce preparedness. Next slide, please. We obviously wrapped up our fair last week, but this data is from last year, so I want to be crystal clear on that. We obviously didn't hurry up and do a rush print on our annual report following fair, but we had a great week last week. I know the weather initially during the start of the week was much cooler. It wrapped up with a hot wave. I actually was there on Thursday during the livestock auction, and I have it on good authority that our livestock auction yielded even more money than last year. So again, just a testament to Northwest Michigan Fair as an important partner for us, all of our volunteers through our Livestock Council, plus obviously all the very generous bidders that came and raised their cattle and purchased 4-H products. For those of you that are unaware of what we do at the fair, area youth purchase an animal product, they raise it. They obviously try to create a break-even point where they know exactly where their profit point is. They solicit buyers through actively sending out buyer letters. They then obviously raise a healthy product, and then they demonstrate their skill in the arena of showing that animal, and then that animal is auctioned. And many of the area youth utilize this money for all sorts of things. It could be their first car, it could be to fund college expenses, it could be to fund a trade school. So again, these are area of opportunities for them to develop that marketing skill, that business skill, entrepreneurs later in life. So again, last year's members, those are reflecting some of the total sales from the Northwest Michigan Fair. So it was multiple counties, there's over 385 youth across several counties, and there were 9 junior beef that were bought and donated back for kids to take back to fair as large beef. So again, just generosity abound for sure. But it was a busy week last year, and I want to thank everyone for their hard work. So next slide, please. We're going to talk a little bit about keeping people healthy from a healthy eating standpoint, and Jane Rappin is assigned to that work here in Leelanau County. Next slide, please. So Jane works directly with food insecure individuals in the county, helping them learn how to eat healthy while on a budget, while also improving their physical activity. And again, this particular project is important because individuals that are healthy obviously are more productive in school, they are more productive as employees, so keeping people healthy and less food insecure is important. Jane works directly with folks, teaching them how to utilize potentially food that's gleaned from your area food pantries like Leelanau Christian Neighbors. She will bring recipes there and food demonstrations where individuals can take those recipes and any of the food that might be gleaned at that time and given to them at the pantry and then take that home. Again, she also works with Pantry to Preschool at the Nogin Center, where 182 families are served through 10 childcare sites, where they get a box of food that they can go home and make that weekend. And again, it's a recipe with very detailed directions where they can then model that and as a family eat a healthy meal together. And again, all of this is grant funded currently. So it would be our programs through Jane. Next slide, please. So fostering strong communities and helping local elected officials make great decisions is another piece of what we do here. Here are some of the staff that are assigned to that project. Next slide, please. So I want to just give a special shout out to some of the efforts that we did here last year. Our Agritourism Summit was our inaugural Agritourism Summit and was highly featured in Leelanau County. So what we did was we did a 2-day event, again, focusing on the needs of our local agriculture. How do we make them more profitable? And recognizing that agritourism is one way for agribusinesses to kind of diversify and say, okay, we want to keep a family farm, but we're not able to be profitable just growing our crops and putting out a food stand. What else can we do? So Rob and Chris Arden were both on that committee, and we led a 2-day event. And the first day was largely in Leelanau County. It was focused exclusively on Leelanau County businesses. We went all up within the county and visited agritourism businesses that are actually farm kind of types of individuals in this community, and it was a sold-out event. Our bus tour was sold out. And then we did day 2 was we had an event at the Haggerty Center where we brought in folks from around the state, MSU Extension staff, as well as external speakers, focusing on the tools that agritourism businesses would need in their tool belt to be able to be successful. We invited municipalities, we invited folks from planning and zoning, we invited entrepreneurs, we invited growers. Again, just a very highly rated event, and we are planning to do our 2026 event as well, and we have those dates set up in May. We're going to be focusing in a different part of the district. We're going to be going up Antrim County with an event happening at the Grand Traverse Resort and Spa. Next slide, please. Our product center work that we do, it's helping local agribusinesses and entrepreneurs bring their marketplace idea from idea, maybe a home-based kitchen idea, to marketplace. So again, our product center staff works directly with those folks to say, let's say you had an award-winning granola recipe you would like to take to Myers and get it distributed at Myers. So we would help you navigate that regulatory process from idea to shelf. And so these are direct Leelanau County numbers. This is exactly numbers just from your county. We worked with 19 businesses, which totaled 82 counseling hours, which reflected in over 41,000 in increased total sales growth in 2024. And the businesses that we worked with had over 30 million in annual sales combined, which affected 109 employees, 2 jobs were retained, and 4 new licenses were secured. So again, we have a very impactful program here in this county, and it's probably the highest numbers within my district, and I think it's probably you have a lot of creativity going on in your district and your county, as well as a lot of really great entrepreneurial ideas. So again, this is the product center idea. The nice thing about it is that if the potential individual has an issue with, let's say, packaging, then we have access to all of the packaging network resources on MSU Extension, on Michigan State University campus. So we leverage all the assets within the organization across the state to really help maximize this entrepreneur's opportunity to start a business. Next slide, please. Other work that we do is continue to work with our coastal communities, and Mark Reederland, I know in the past, has done presentations when we had high water levels. Now with water levels dropping, people will probably be calling about decreased water levels, but again, it's that general cyclic kind of thing. But again, he works with local municipalities and marinas specifically on water usage, water resources, sustainability of those practices. I know he also has featured, you see in the bottom left, VBOT and the Pixie drone. Those are two pieces of technology that were given to us as a grant by Meyer, and those are helping to identify plastics both in the sand and in the marinas. And the Pixie drone flies through the marina and collects plastics that are in marinas. So again, it's just showing it's more of an educational piece. It's not helping marinas clean up per se, but it's more of like an opportunity to educate the residents about why it's important to obviously not to deposit our plastics on our beaches and our land and our water. Next slide, please. I also wanted to feature too, before we do the thank you slide, is obviously a couple other things that I know Mary Riley did in the county, so let me just double check my notes to make sure I say it right. Mary Riley's housed in our Manistee office, and she's always annually done some sort of an event up here focusing on planning and zoning, and last year she held at the Governmental Center for the Planning Commission. She covered a renewable energy education, which is cover changes to renewable energy permitting for utility scale wind, solar, and battery storage due to the adoption of new legislature. And I also know some of you attended our new commissioner school, and thank you for coming to that as well. But as always, I like to end on our closing slide, which is without your partnership, we could not do this great work on behalf of your residents. And it's always our privilege and our honor to be here today to present to you and to work every day on the behalf of Leelanau County residents. So thank you. Any questions for me? I know that was a lot. It's really hard to condense the Leelanau report because there's so many good things.
Mr. Money?
Yeah, I was just wondering, what is the age for the tractor safety?
Isn't it?
14? Okay. Then, as far as master gardeners, Sutton's Bay has these stormwater collection areas. They could really use some, I mean, if you have volunteers, because they just get overgrown with weeds, mainly.
Well, I will mention that to Nate and see if that could be a project that we could see if they
That
would be
would
willing to do that.
really be good.
I will-
They actually filled in 2 of them,
Okay.
you know, because they were getting so bad for sight.
Good to know. Thank you, sir.
And then, and I did attend the commissioner's education, and I really appreciated that. That was a great thing to help out, so thank you for that.
We appreciated the opportunity to be able to do that as well with our MAC partners. And what I like about it this year is that, well, in the last couple of times, is that you have that in-person component where you can network, but then much of the work is done in an asynchronous format. So as you move through your time and tenure as commissioners, you can reference that material back. You can say, hey, we talked about budget 6 months ago, but now we're in budget season, so can I reflect and go back to those pieces? So that's how I like it. It's still at your disposal to be able to access.
Exactly, thank you.
Please convey the board's thanks to the master gardeners. They do a wonderful job out here, and they're friendly when you come in, but I don't know that we give them enough kudos, so thank you.
Well, we try to give them a kudos at
Thank you.
an event and an
Thank you.
announcement venue, but I will pass on your thanks.
Everyone knows, I think, that we have not a crisis, a near crisis with our fruit crop industry. If you could if you could let us know, maybe have a discussion or invite us in on a discussion on how county government might be able to help that. We do, other governments do a lot for industry, do a lot for this, that, and the other. But for us, I would say most of our businesses are doing fine. I think our economy is doing fine, but we kind of take for granted that our hillsides are in danger.
Well, thank you for that comment. I will pass that on to Nikki Rockwell. I know she's working very hard on that. She recently was awarded the Industry Person of the Year for the National Cherry Festival, which is a long overdue honor, but she is personally committed to helping them, and I will pass that on.
I appreciate it.
She would be the person to really pivot on that point. She's very deeply involved in the industry through Cherry Marketing Institute, as well as local efforts to really help to create sustainability for our local growers, and it is a crisis. Which is why we did the agritourism summit as well, and which is why obviously Chris Darhagen's work is so important. We want them to retain their profitability, otherwise we won't have the beauty that we see every day out of our doors, for sure.
Thank you.
I will mention that to you.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Has,
No, Commissioner Algar?
has there been any change in funding coming down?
Like, are you talking federal funding? So yes, so one of the programs that will unfortunately not renewed, it'll be hard for me to be emotional about this because I've been doing this for 30 years. But our SNAP Ed program was recently defunded through the legislative actions through the Big Beautiful Bill. And so we will be sunsetting all of our SNAP Ed education as of the end of September.
And what program is
That
that?
would be our SNAP Ed, so that would be the efforts of Jane Rappin here with working with food insecure audiences. I have had a SNAP Ed supervision role for myself for 28 years. When I was hired for Grand Traverse in Leelanau as a dual county agent, that was my 25% of my time. So I've had a deep connection to this work for 28 years as part of my time and tenure. So we will be sunsetting that program due to federal funding changes across the state. Every SNAP Ed educator, SNAP Ed program across the whole nation is going to be completely shut down from the results of those actions. So food insecure audiences will not have access to any of those resources that we've previously done for 28 years. Well, 30 years SNAP Ed's been in existence. I personally done it for 28. But thank you for bringing that up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate
again.
that thorough report.
Very
It was really
much.
good.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll move on to our first public comment, which is 3 minutes. That is agenda specific. Do we have any members of the public that wishes to offer public comment? Yes, Mr. White.
Good morning, Jim White from Sutton's Bay. Leelanau County recently received $38,000 from the tribe in place of property taxes for January through June of 2025 funding cycle. The Board of Commissioners voted to give Inland Seas $18,000 for the Leo Creek Reserve. This means that in the past funding cycle, 47% of the county's payment from the tribe is going to Inland Seas. According to the Leelanau Enterprise article of June 26, 2025, Inland Seas has raised $8+ million for their expanded waterfront. This funding effort clearly demonstrates that Inland Seas has the ability to raise the needed funds for their project. Does giving tax dollars to a nonprofit that has received $8 million of private funds for their expansion project sound like a wise use of our tax dollars? What government entities were denied funding so that Inland Seas could receive 47% plus of Leelanau County's payment in lieu of taxes this past funding cycle? And since we're on the subject of taxes, as chairman of the Leelanau County Republican Party, I'd like to inform this board and the public that the official position of the LCRP is to support the Acts Michigan tax resolution to eliminate property taxes in the state.
Mr. Chair?
Having personally collected
Call a point of order, Mr. Chair.
Mr. White, you can address the board because that's not on our agenda today. So first comment was,
It was about taxes.
yeah, well, yeah.
All right, we'll talk about taxes later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
My name is Lynn from Leelanau. But putting this agenda-specific 3-minute public comment at the beginning is a form of censorship. Taxpayers and citizens should be allowed to talk about whatever they wish, especially since we've gone an hour and we've covered 3 items. It's censorship, and it should be taken away and put real public comment at the beginning.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, not. We'll move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner comments. All right, Commissioner Money.
Yeah, actually, I did bring that article from, that they just spoke about from the Inland Seas to show, that. So when we get to that, I will talk about that.
Okay.
And then I also brought the one about Sugarloaf, and what's happening with it going to the Conservancy, I believe that I think there's over 400 acres there. That taking that land away from the tax base is not going to help young families coming into this area. That's a lot of land that would be available for housing. That's not going to be available, and it's also will change the tax base for Leelanau County. And every time something goes to Conservancy, tends to make property values go up and also hurt. It will increase the taxes on those, the remaining property. So even though we celebrate this, I think we have to realize that it's not all beneficial.
All right, any other commission comments? All right, if not, we will move on to our action items. First one we have is from the Sheriff's Office. We got Secondary Road Patrol. We have the Sheriff here.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Okay, Secondary Road Patrol, you're familiar with it, SRP 416 program, where the state police, the state funds one of our positions, or most of one of our positions. The amount they gave from the state last year because of a $5 million grant enhancement from the feds was $77,216, and this year they've cut it back to $57,798. So a little loss in revenue toward that position, but it's extremely important. Secondary road car is the one that works the secondary roads, 633, 643, 641, people who pass school buses with kids trying to get on and off. You're working other than the M roads. So the state police are doing a good job in the M roads, like down in Grelikville where the traffic congestion is with the construction. We're doing everything we can, but that is a car we dedicated just to that. I think it's very important. So ask for your support to accept that and continue with the program.
Mr. Wessel?
I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners allow the Sheriff's Office to apply for the 2025-2026 fiscal year Secondary Road Patrol Program Grant through the Michigan Office of Highway Safety and authorize the Board Chair and Finance Director to digitally review, sign, and submit.
Second.
Moved and supported, discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Except we got donation acceptance.
Thank you. Donation acceptance. We had an individual call me regarding wanted to support the agency and asked what we needed help with. And I told him our marine safety fund is down and we could use help. Obviously, one of the requests we have coming is for boat motors. We have a motor that's broken and a motor that's salvageable. We have a 24-foot patrol boat just sitting in dry dock right now. It should be in Suttons Bay Harbor. And it's just saying they're now waiting for approval to get 2 150 horse motors. This grant helps our marine program. There's a variety of things come up with marine safety, and this $10,000 grant is a no strings attached grant to the Sheriff's Office program. Ask for your support to accept it.
Mr. Money?
I'd move that we accept the donation for $10,000.
Second.
All right, moved and supported, discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that motion say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Motion carried 7-0.
I know you can't disclose who it is, but you know who it is. Tell them thank you. I'm sure you already have.
We have handwritten letters, formal letters. Once next week comes and it's formally approved, they'll get one so they can, if they can write it off or whatever, but they've been supportive in the past, they're very supportive of us and the county and good people.
Nice.
Was that Bruce? Says your brother, so I.
Yeah. Kid brother.
All right, Marine Patrol Boat?
So Marine Patrol Boat, this request is one, it's an unusual request because we remoted those engines on that 24-foot. It's a Tierra Pursuit. It's a great patrol boat. It sits in Suttons Bay Harbor. Harbor Master lets us keep it in there every year and doesn't charge us, and that's our patrol response vessel for West Bay and the Outer Bay, all the way down to Grelikville. So it's very, very important. We had a motor issue. That boat, as you know, sunk in the marina. Everybody saw the pictures on Facebook and everywhere. That boat sunk. There was a seal around the transducer that had silicone around it. Somehow the silicone dried out. It took on water. It was sitting like this in the water. Basically, the starboard engine was underwater, so we knew we had problems with that. The port motor was up in the air when I got there. Photographed everything, put it through. We took it to standard. They tore the starboard motor down, put it back together, so they didn't see problems, dried everything out. But so the motor that wasn't underwater blew up 2 days later on patrol, which would be the port of the left side motor. It blew up. And general thought is, when we got there and I took pictures, the Marine had already helped us. Edie came over and Sutton's Bay Village helped us a lot. They lifted that boat up for us to try to get it out of the water. They got out of the water, but that took the port engine up where it didn't look like it was underwater. Well, apparently it was. The long and short of it was, we tried an MMRMA insurance replacement for the engine. When you replace a boat engine that has 850, 900 service hours on it, you need to replace both engines because they work in unison. So I think it was all kind of spelled out in that. Ask for your support. I believe, we have done some research on it.
Yeah. Should I approach? Administrator Dyer brought this to my attention and originally asked to reallocate some funds from the unspent budget of TNT. And I didn't get with Administrator Dyer, but I think a more appropriate way to entertain this request to replace these outboards would be to use your savings, your contingency fund. It would be a more clean transaction. The TNT budget is going to roll into 26. The sheriff does have a proposal for TNT, so I'd rather leave his budget intact. And rather than deconstruct it, a more appropriate would be to use your contingencies if you want to entertain this purchase.
You had a very successful golf outing for your canine program, and we made the decision not to do that. Could those funds that were generously donated by a lot of golfers go to help cover the cost?
Well, if we were to get back to the canine program, then we'd be depleted there. Ideally, we have one person now interested in canine who has just started with us, and she has just gotten off her, if you will, her FTO period, so she's in a 1-year probation cycle. But you can't just throw someone in as a canine right off the bat. We didn't have anybody interested in that before, and now we do, so I'm not saying that you first get her, they wouldn't, but I hate to do, I think we'd be robbing Peter to pay Paul. I think this is just an unfortunate thing, and if we could use a contingency fund, I think that would be the all-around best.
Mr. Bunny?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking $25,000 here, and I'm thinking that we really should go out for bids for this. I mean, I know you want to deal locally, but it seems like we're always waiving our policies, and, if we could do it that way, or I would think we could wait till redo the new budget and use it for that. I don't think there's the third way I thought was we either use donations to cover it rather than messing with the budget and changing it just before we start the process and then have to readjust it. So, I would like to see us go out for bids, but if we otherwise wait for our budget policies or use the donations,
On the bids, we use Standard Marine because they're a Mercury dealer, and Mercury gives military and law enforcement a 40% discount right off the top, American made, and it's our local vendor. If we bid out, say, Long Lake Marine or somewhere in Cadillac or Gaylord, we have all the transportation issues. Every time we have boat service in the spring and the fall, every time there's a little problem with the boat, you're hauling it basically down to Long Lake or Cadillac or somewhere else where there's another Merc dealer. So they are our local Merc dealer. That's why we sole sourced it. And we didn't look at Honda or Yamaha, which are extremely good motors as well. And they're foreign made, and they don't give the discount. And when I was with the Department of Natural Resources, we always have Mercs on our boats because of the tremendous savings they give military police. So that's why we sole source that. I agree with you. In general, if I'm gonna buy a flag or a TV, we'd like to get multiple sources, see where we get investment. This was our best option, especially in terms of repair and service. We run over to Leland, they fix it. In fact, they said, if we get these replacement motors, call them the day you get your authorization, they'll order them, they'll have them within 2 days, they'll take the next day and put them on and get that boat up and running, because it's just sitting there right now. And it's a shame to have that boat. It's a 2001 Tiara, so it's 24 years old, but the hull is in incredible shape. We've done many rescues with it and missions, and it's a matter of time before we have another one out there. We're not gonna have a boat. We do have boats we can trailer there, but there's more time and logistics involved in that. So that's why we sole sourced it, to answer that question.
Yeah, and I guess I'm a little concerned about this leaking silicone. I mean, isn't that a maintenance thing that the maintenance crew should have taken care of, or somebody should have checked that
All
out?
due respect, Commissioner, that would be like me saying, if one of you had an oil pan leak and you didn't know it, your motor broke on your car, you should have inspected your car if the oil pan wasn't leaking. We didn't see any leak, we didn't have any, we weren't aware of it, we looked the boat over, we waxed it and everything, but you can't always prevent something like that from happening. You know, those motors were replaced in 2013, and the boat hull is again a 2001. So over time, apparently that cracked, it took on a leak, but say it's Mother Nature because it cracked right out, I don't know, but I think I heard that before, that, well, you guys should have been inspecting that. It's like, there's a point of reasonableness. If we knew there was a hole or a problem, we would have fixed it, clearly. I mean, we're not gonna do something have it, you don't always know. And plus, it might have happened while it was in the water. It might not have just, it might have been from 6 months before that, might have been from 2 weeks before that. But that was an unfortunate thing, that things happen, especially when you have older equipment like that. So all I can say is, I don't feel any blame toward our Marine Safety Division. I've heard people say that they should have been on that. And to me, it's like, compare it to your car. So, and I don't think anybody in here is driving a 2001 car generally. They're generally newer than that, and 24 years old, and the boats get older, they do need maintenance. We do the best we can. But.
Well, I just do think when they come to dry dock, we should really, be a little more thorough, I guess.
Well, that, rarely, I mean, I agree with you. When they're in dry dock, we do the best we can. They're hand waxed. I mean, we don't ship that, serves out, we hand wax, and we just got 2 coats on it just recently, and we look everything over the best we can, but you can't always catch everything, especially on a hull that, was, produced in 2001. So that's all I can say about that. I can't blame our Marine people for it.
Commissioner Robbins, did you have anything you want? I saw you had your
Well,
hand
my
raised.
friend covered it. I just wondered, today's August 12th, we're getting the end of the year, but he covered that one. I guess the only thing I could add to it is nothing against your division, but maybe we should start budgeting at the end of the year to have one of the boat people come in and inspect our boats before the next season.
That's certainly
It'd be cost
wise.
effective.
Yep, that'd certainly be wise, bring a boat hull inspector, come in, take a look at it, and say good to go or not. I totally agree. Don't have a problem with that.
Commissioner Algar?
That's okay.
Okay. Commissioner Wessel? Oh.
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners authorize the sale of the existing 150 horsepower motor associated with boat M2, purchase 2 Mercury 150 XL motors from Standard Marine, waive the board policy on bid requirements, authorize the budget allocations as described by our finance director.
Second.
Commissioner
And
Campbell?
the description, excuse me,
Oh.
is to charge Marine 970 for capital outlay, funds to come from contingency. Thank you.
Do you need that added to the motion?
It was.
Just want to make sure everyone understood what I was referring to.
Okay, well, that was one of my questions, if you needed a budget amendment, but that's included, that we're all set on that, correct? Okay. But my only other thing is throughout here, I look at, there's a lot, well, our bid policy seems forgotten at times. And I understand, I agree with the local dealer. Next time you have a problem, you want to be able to go down there and they're gonna jump. So I understand that, but just as a general statement, I see that throughout here, and I think we got to get a little closer to our bid policy in a lot of areas, so.
Did we get a second?
Yeah, Robert.
Any other discussion?
I just have one question. Do you want to have an amount to exceed? I didn't know, it's not in the motion, so I didn't know what amount are we not going to exceed, and I can put that in there.
I suggest we check that out before the
Okay.
final board meeting next week.
For the regular session?
All right.
Okay, I'll work on that motions for next Tuesday then.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that motion, say aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right, motion carried 6-1.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should we take a quick break? It's been enough.
Yep, we can take a quick break and be back at 11 o'clock.
I hate to do it.
National Park, right?
And that is bad, blacktop.
Yeah.
Poor
We're
Cleveland
all
Township.
stupid. Why we raise gardens? Why we raise gardens? Why it's cheaper?
All right, gentlemen,
True.
we're gonna get back to order
It's
here.
still better for you.
Yeah, I know.
First item we got is emergency management, which we got Matt here.
Good morning.
Morning, man.
Good morning.
I'm here for the HMEP grant. This is the grant that relates to our LEPC meetings. I know that there's a handful of commissioners that are, I'm going to say, lucky enough to come to that meeting every other month. Super exciting, super riveting. And yes, and this grant really is a lot of work for a little amount of money. If we didn't do 90% of what's required in our everyday work, it really would not be worth it. But here we have it before you for acceptance.
You have a motion?
I move that the county board of commissioners allow the chairman of the board to sign a hemp grant agreement and allow the county office of emergency management to submit documentation required for the hemp grant closeout for later this year.
Support.
All right, motion's been made and supported, discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Easy enough, Matt.
Thank you very much. Hopefully your meeting goes quickly.
Thank you.
I don't know if hemp was the right.
All right, next,
We'll go with it.
next up, we got planning community development, the CIP, which was said under a separate cover, I believe.
Yes, was at your chairs. This is a document that was reviewed and endorsed, adopted by the Planning Commission, and they are presenting it to you for consideration. Where's the?
Yep, CIP.
And Kathy, you might want to join the discussion as well, since we're actually presenting you with three potential motions. There's the recommendation that you accept the CIP from the Planning Commission as they presented. We have some primarily what I would consider as technical amendments to some of the text of the narrative behind the CIP that talks about the budgeting process and basically implies that by adoption of the CIP by the Planning Commission, you're bound to accept their recommendations in the first year of implementation. And that is not correct. It's inconsistent with the Michigan Planning Act. So Kathy had recommended some changes, and we're asking you to then, after you've accepted the capital improvement program, accept the technical revisions and then adopt the CIP as your document as amended. So that's why there's three separate motions.
Okay, could you clarify? So it said we have to implement, and you're saying it's a recommendation.
Correct. That's
Thank you.
exactly correct.
Thank you. That's what I thought I heard.
You heard correct.
I'm sorry. I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners accept the 2026 to 31 capital improvement program as presented by the County Planning Commission.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Discussion? Commissioner Wessel?
I suspect we're going to talk about this during the budget planning session. We're going to have a session, so this is just being received for us to talk about in our budget planning.
Correct. The Planning Act requires the Planning Commission to recommend this to you, and you accept that formally, and then use that as a tool during the budget process. That's correct.
Commissioner Money?
Yeah, I mean, the recommendations, do we have to follow them exactly, or do we can just use them as a guideline? But they're not,
Yes.
and it doesn't have to be on here for us to do it as well. Would
That's
that be
correct.
true?
And the technical amendments that we're suggesting reflect that fact.
Okay.
That's your intent, and that's both the Michigan Planning Act and your ordinance that created the Planning Commission and requires this. In my opinion, that's all that it is. This is a recommendation to you to use during the budgeting process.
A lot of work for that, doesn't it?
Yes, there is. And there is a provision in the Michigan Planning Act that allows you to exempt the County Planning Commission from engaging in this and take that responsibility yourself as part of your budgeting process. That's something you may want to consider in the future, but that's not before you today. I'm just mentioning that as that's a provision of the act, and I think many counties do that simply because counties are different than cities and villages and townships in terms of how they use their planning commissions.
But wouldn't this make it harder for grants if you didn't do the CIP? That was my understanding, is that.
It's not that you wouldn't do it, it's that the Planning Act permits you to say, relieve the Planning Commission of that responsibility and do it yourself as a board. I think there's merit in having the Planning Commission involved because, again, it makes a recommendation to you that you can do with as you see fit.
Commissioner Campbell?
What's your thoughts on this, Gail, as far as retaining that with the Planning Commission? Is it more of a, especially if we turn around and don't follow it, is it a burden worth going through, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it is worth going through for the Planning Commission. There's a lot of time spent reviewing these submittals and ranking them, and I think that's important.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate that work because they're more familiar with all of this, and so they can do this ranking and spend time. I appreciate the effort and the presentation to us.
I'll just note that going through creating the CIP took 2 meetings just to get through the project.
Yeah.
So that would be a lot of work for this board here to go through that. So we went through it in 5 minutes and it took us two months to go through it. So, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Any other discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of the first motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. And then we got a second motion. Commissioner Elgar?
I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners accept the technical revisions to the 2026 through 31 capital improvement program as presented by the Administrator and Finance Director.
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Discussion?
Thank you for making those.
All right. Another discussion. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. And then the final motion.
I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners accept the 26 through 31 capital improvement program as amended.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Discussion?
Thank you for this work.
Somebody's got to say something, right? All right. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right. Next up, we have the NMCAA contract extension. It's done for the planning department.
Yeah, this is a request for a one-year contract extension with Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency. They have been using our program income funds to provide loans for those Leelanau County residents that need emergency repairs. Over the last 3 years, they've spent a total of almost $78,000 on septic system replacement, roof repairs, foundation repairs.
All right, Commissioner Wessel?
I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners approve a one-year contract extension with Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency for housing rehab services pending the contract extension review by Corporate Counsel.
Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion? Okay, Commissioner Alvarez?
I'd like to add that this is only for income qualified people, that this is money that can only be allocated for this sort of purpose. And if you have someone with a hole in the roof, it's really important that they can reach out and get the help they need. So these funds are always carefully and well used by NMCAA.
Yeah, and our fund has been, our CDBG fund has been drained, as everyone knows here, by quite a bit, but allocations into the same types of programs through land use and through Housing North, 60,000 for Housing North, 100,000 for land bank, just to provide a little bit of a history. But my understanding is that there isn't such a tight grip on these funds that we would have to go with a quasi-government agency. So in the back of my mind, I think of Leelanau County and what organization Leelanau County meets face-to-face with folks who need help the most, and that would probably be Leelanau Christian Neighbors. So I just wonder if there's, if maybe LCN would be a better recipient of these, just because they're already doing that kind of work. I'd throw that out there. Obviously, it's going to be well used anyways. It's just a matter of keeping it with a Leelanau County-based organization.
The people at NMCAA have been doing this for years, and they have the context. They can make it happen. They can make it happen easily. And they've been doing this for us, as I said, for years. So asking LCN to create a new program just for the remaining $9,800.
Well, there'll be more.
Seem to be, and LCN and NMCAA interface all the time, so it's not like NMCAA works for all of us.
I've said my piece. I'd like to investigate a little bit more as far as LCN. Unless, do you know of any reason why that, if it's not a possibility, then I can understand that.
I could look into that for you and report back if you would like.
It's up to other board members, but I just know that this organization is way on the other side of Traverse City.
Any
Did
other
we have a
discussion?
motion?
Yeah, we had a motion. We're in discussion mode right now. Discussion on that?
Well, yeah, there are offices located on the other side of Traverse City, but they certainly are a Leelanau County service organization. It's a regional organization, and they do all sorts of work in this county.
Any other discussion? All right. I'm comfortable with going with, this is a one-year contract. From my understanding, do we have to re-up? Are we in our second one-year contract? Is that how I read that?
This will be the fourth year that we're.
Oh, the fourth year, okay. And is it a 1-year contract every year, or is it 2 years? 2 year, 1 year, oh, okay. I'm comfortable with going with this as is, and then if our administrator wants to look into it for the following year or something to see if that's something we can do, I'm fine with that.
But let me remind you, that's what those people do. So engaging another organization and training people and getting resources and stuff, starting from scratch, that's what they do.
Mr. Walter?
That'll be a conversation for another time.
All right, any other discussion? If not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay?
Motion carried 6-1. All right, thank you. Next up, we have finance, motor pool outfitting.
Yeah, I submitted an EDS with a spreadsheet accounting for the purchase of the 25 vehicles as outlined in the EDS. And there was an unexpected upcharge to retrofit the ammo boxes and gun locks in 2 of the SUVs because Ford made a spec change. And if you need further questions about specifics of where those pieces of equipment are in a control car, we'll have to ask the sheriff and the sheriff just to explain it. But, and then the seat covers came in a little higher. So the motion, the original motion isn't sufficient to cover bills that were paid. So this is housekeeping.
Mr. Wassel?
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the invoices to outfit the 2025 vehicle purchases for the sheriff's office at a total cost not to exceed $34,200. Funds to come from Fund 661.
Second.
Supported, discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0.
And another housekeeping item is that the original purchase of the vehicles was correct in how much each vehicle was in the original EDS, but the total came up $1,000 higher. So this is to correct the original motion to purchase those vehicles.
All right. Mr. Algar?
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve purchase of 2 Ford Police Interceptor SUVs, 1 Ford Explorer 4x4, and 1 F-150 Super Cab pickup for use by animal control from Lunghammer Ford at a total cost not to exceed $180,929. Funds to come from Fund 661 Motor Pool.
Support.
All right, moved and supported, discussion, Commissioner Money?
Yeah, I just wonder, we did this before, only, $1,000 less. Isn't that correct? And so do we have to nullify the previous one? Because now we're saying twice now that we can do this. There's a previous motion to do this for, 179,000. And somehow I think that should be nullified as opposed, and this one be, instituted. Or isn't that necessary?
I have been told by council that this will supersede the original, allow Administrator Dyer to weigh in.
I would concur. This supersedes the original motion.
Okay, but I guess shouldn't it say that, or does it need to then?
It would not be a bad thing to expressly say that it supersedes the motion, add that as an amendment to this motion. That would make it perfectly clear. I don't know that it's necessary, but it's a good practice.
So could we add that to the motion? Would that be all right?
Gwen made the motion.
Yes.
Okay. Was that okay with the second? Yes. Thank you.
And I'll retain that for future if it happens again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion on that? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, next up we have the pit toilet demolition.
Chairman Yoder, I think Michelle wants to.
Oh,
Is that just on the prior motion to supersede?
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, if you want, you can just note it in there that this supersedes and note the prior motion and the date it was, even though it will, and that will solve what you're questioning, so there's not a duplication of purchases.
Correct.
I walked in the middle, so I don't know all of a sudden, I'm sure that's what the administrator.
That's what we meant, and that's, yeah.
So I'll make a note that the clerk's office will correct and fix for Tuesday night.
Yeah, the date that the other one was made.
Will do.
Is that a proclamation?
Yep, good to go, passed.
All right.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the pit toilet demolition.
Finance received invoices to compensate Cal Excavating for demolition of pit toilets and soil back masonry. And we could not find in your board minutes that you had approved the project at this level. It was a recommendation by Parks and Rec. It was brought to your attention by administrator presentation by former interim administrator Richard Lewis, but there was no action item motion. So this is, again, housekeeping to bring this to the board.
Can I just ask you a step? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I need to take a small break because my screen froze.
Okay.
So would you mind taking a break for me? I can't even type anything, so
Later
I don't know what happened. Sorry.
Should we talk about coffee?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Moving right along, aren't
Another thing, you got a motion on the floor, and it approves what you wanna do, don't discuss it, just go.
we? Just
It wasn't you, shut up, let it go,
Yeah, just-
okay?
Yeah, I think everything you told me today can be summed in those two words. Shut up.
If you are-
Alan, he's paying attention.
If you already got what you want, we don't need to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's truth in that.
Mark's watching you.
Is that why you moved him over here?
I learned that early in my career when I started, the judge was asking me questions that would indicate that he was going to agree with my view on a case. And I kept
I don't ever
talking. He
put
said,
this up.
You need to
I don't ever
figure out
use
when
the
to
camera
stop
thing over
talking.
here.
You've
I
already
don't think it
won.
makes a difference, but
You already
see how it
won.
wants
You
to
don't get extra
playback.
points.
Stop talking. Yeah, don't make it any worse than you've already done.
Is there time to go to the vending machine, you think?
Huh?
Think there's time to go to the vending
I
machine?
think there is.
I think you do. That or order pizza.
Anybody want something from downstairs?
Yeah, and then so it like paused me. It's not recording, it's not doing anything.
Where's your, I need to have this.
Yeah, I saw that, actually, that was in our packet.
Is there a way that I can see?
Well, yeah,
it?
You should say that we need to have received.
It's not.
We're trying to get a trip to USA.
As it goes.
I can hear it, so can you drag this out of the way? Can that
I
be dragged?
understand.
See, and I don't use this. I don't know. I won't come down, that's what I'm saying.
Very friendly, nice town.
I can go grab our
Park is
If
fabulous.
we do specs, we can do it all.
Oh, excuse me, sir. You weren't gonna jump over that, were you?
I'm so glad you got it.
They are.
Oh, that's such a big deal.
Well, then I just want to see the budget, it all smooths up, and then we try, we're gonna redo it again.
Just like flies.
Yeah, you get it choose.
I chipped a bone in my foot years ago.
I can tell you it's very humid in here according to the computer.
Check on it.
We were, I chipped a
Yeah,
bone
no,
in my
thanks.
foot.
Oh.
We were in New York, we were in the Adirondacks. I went to the doctor's office 3 days later here. They were gonna go to cast on. I said,
The only
I'm
thing working is to tell me it's very humid in here.
Do you see that they, it's all, it's water.
Well, I'll be in Chicago
They're
just
working
for
on
a
that.
conference, but he gave me a boot.
Your conditioner back, good.
What
You
a,
can drive
oh my
with?
God, you can shower, you can take it
Oh.
off to sleep. boots are awesome.
I see. So you could take it off while
We
you're
gotta go
driving?
get Jen.
Or you
She
have
went to
it
get
on
the,
track?
it's gotta be shut down and restarted.
It might have
And
been
she's
my
just gonna
left
have
foot.
to hope she doesn't lose everything.
I think it was my left foot.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
But a boot is fabulous because you can shower, you can take the damn thing off.
When I broke my arm, they gave me a cast and it was cut.
No,
They put the cast on, made it normal, then they cut it.
We just need to end the
And
task.
How you doing, Will?
take it on and off.
Good.
and then wrap
How's life on this end?
And this
It's
won't,
nice.
it
So
won't.
Like how
I
it gets down there,
accidentally
there's an
clicked on it instead of clicking next to it to bookmark it. And so
You're doing
now
a
it's
great
like
job.
froze.
I really appreciate you
But
being
there
on
was
the
like
board.
something
I just
hidden
think
behind it, and I didn't wanna
you just
control
really
The
the
boot after a
Just shut
week
it
or
off.
so, it started to not hurt so bad. You can take it out to sleep.
Yeah.
Just really wanted to see on too.
Just
Right.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I
You know, because I think I can re-record on the same phone.
Oh dear, if they call it, it's real.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the only thing it is
You know,
telling us
and
is it's
to
very
go even
humid.
with 700, it's like a 900.
It did pop up very humid in here.
It is very humid.
Yes.
So
So
one-
It
one
is. I did
we
check
know
with,
that for a fact.
That's why we got item.
It says it's
and
very
their
humid.
First two orders.
Yes.
They spent $3.
They always go down when you need them badly.
That's why
Especially
item
with the hair, you
7C.
know?
Close to where this.
I don't
Item
need a
7C.
preview of that, when Allison does that, I don't.
No, I.
need that.
17. Oh, 17, I was gonna say.
Trying to
It's
play.
17 would not be good.
No.
It's trying to
That was
play.
when I
That's
went
all
down
it
that
is.
road, yeah.
If
So I went
it's
down
safe
there.
for Jewish male to go
Yeah,
down.
that's a pretty important.
Well, as long as, yeah, as long
I
as,
have
as
that.
long, that's fine, as long as my Word doc is still there, I
So,
need to hit save on my Word
Your
doc.
update to us was great, thank you.
Information that you can
Or
ignore.
maybe just
Not providing.
Us.
You all good, Jen?
We need
Yep,
that.
I'm good.
All right, Kathy, roll away.
Well, at least I can't
was
kick
told
me
that
anymore.
we were able to report on where it was, so I won't start over. Your EDS does show the minutes from Parks and Rec, the dates, the minutes from the commissioners, meeting where the administrator gave an update, but there were no motions. So the finance department has no authority to pay these invoices without your motions. So there's two to consider. One motion, I think it encompasses all of it.
You have one here for Parks and Rec to accept the recommendation.
Let's see, if we read the motion, if you
Approve
move
the
to recommend that they approve as recommended by Parks and Rec, the demolition of the pit toilets, waive the bid policy and contract with Cal for the demolition as
Oh.
recommended.
Yep, I see. On the bottom, you have everything combined.
I do.
Got it, yep.
A little writing.
Little writing.
Yep, very tiny. Commissioner Bunny?
Yeah, I'm just saying, so this was ordered by the Park and Recs. Is that what happened? And the work has actually been done?
It's, yes, and Parks and Rec.
And you've gotten the bill for it?
Right.
Okay. So I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve as recommended by the Park and Recreation Commission demolition of the pit toilets at Miles Kimberly and Old Settlers Park, waive bid policy, again, and contract with Cal Excavating for the demolition as presented in the amount of $7,500. Utilize the services of Novak Masonry to pour cement slabs over both sites in the amount not to exceed $2,970, and authorize the board chairman to sign all applicable documents with expenditures of funds to be charged to the Park and Rec, I would say, ending in, a number ending in 775.000.
Support.
Moved and supported, discussion?
If I could, I looked through what was in the minutes, and I don't see where there was actually a vote of the Parks and Rec. The closest it comes, it says, have 2 quotes in hand for the removal of the toilets and will award one within the next month. So to me, that falls a little bit short of saying, we recommend that this happen, this contractor be hired. Maybe it's a technicality, but that's just what's reflected.
A little correction to that, because we did get 2 bids. We got one from,
Thank you, Pat, coming up.
I just gave some right now, but there's actually 2 bids. We tried to get a third, and they never responded to us. Then, at that point, there was a disagreement over how much the commissioner or the administrator could sign off on it, and he signed off for that. That's the history that I remember.
And we did discuss it
Yes.
in the commission.
I think if I can, kind of read into what occurred in conversations I've had with Richard Lewis, I think there was some frustration about the Parks and Recs Commission believing they had authority to authorize contracts and bids and that sort of thing. And he was presenting to them or suggesting to them that they did not. And I believe what happened is he believed he had purchasing authority up to $10,000 if there had been an attempt to get 3 bids. So he then authorized the contract. Kathy and I have been trying to create the understanding internally that if you're going to have multiple invoices, particularly when combined, you don't know that they're not going to exceed the administrator's authority of $10,000. You need to treat that as a project that then is approved by the Board of Commissioners in its full amount, and that's what really didn't happen here. But I think there was good faith on the part of Richard Lewis believing he had the authority to authorize the Cal Excavating contract because it was under his authority. And again, I think the assumption by facilities was that we always intended to cap that demolition with concrete. So the facility just went ahead and did that, assuming that the authority of the administrator's action to approve the excavation was also approval of the other, the capping with concrete. And that's something that we're trying very hard to get away from internally with Kathy's assistance to, again, enforce this idea that if you're spending, even if it's going to be under $10,000, if it's multiple invoices and multiple vendors working on a single issue, that becomes a project that needs to be approved by the Board of Commissioners. So what we're really doing is trying to make it clear, this is what should have happened originally. And in that sense, kind of a housekeeping, as Kathy has said earlier, a housekeeping action to make legitimate what occurred in the past that others thought was legitimately accomplished.
If I may just say, there was some sloppiness, and I was very much a part of it on the Parks Commission. And I agree with your explanation that, yeah, we need to, and we all know. But there was some sloppiness. I was a part of it, and that's why we're here today.
All right, any other discussion? All right, not all in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you.
I have a question. So there is a regular, what do you call it, Johnny on the spot now? There is one there now?
That is provided us with units to sit on top of.
Oh, good, thank you. That's an improvement.
Awesome. Next up, we are to HR. We got Jen here. Good morning.
So first on the agenda, I wanted to take a little time to clarify why this wasn't done in the union negotiation process. It was for the office manager role over at the sheriff's office. So originally it was brought to the table as changing the administrative secretary role and just moving that to a grade 2. Now the 2 positions that were in that role were the one that was the building safety office manager now and the one at the sheriff's office. So those 2 roles were the same. Then what happened is we as a group decided that we didn't want to just roll that up to grade 2 without an explanation of why. Why did the job change? Or was there a good reason why we would just take one job and move it up? The building safety had provided us that documentation, and that's why they went that route. And now we have documentation to show that this role, I think, has changed. It has grown in responsibility, and that's why we would like to create a new job at a grade 2 within the Teamsters contract and use that in the sheriff's office. Are there any questions?
Mr. Wessel?
From time to time, we've had a request like this, as you referenced the safety department last year.
Yeah.
And we had one time from the prosecutor's office and one time, I think, from Matt and Sorgi. And typically said, all of this comes to budget discussion, because there is a budget implication. And I, for, as one commissioner, I don't oppose this, but I oppose doing it this way. I think any changes come once a year during budget, and we can't, there's always another one will come. We approve this today, and another one will come next week from another office. And I just think that's not the way we want to do it. So I would favor not taking action on that until budget time.
Which is,
Can you, do you see this as a cascading effect, now 1, then 2, and are there others within our contracts? Can you see this growing, if you will, this trend?
Oh, there's potential, but what I do see is a very similar situation that we already have in the county, which is in the MSU department. There's one full-time staff, she's at an office manager level, and then there's one part-time staff that works directly under her, and that has been in place for a while. I don't exactly know when that change occurred or when it was built, but that is a very similar situation to what they have at the sheriff's office. I think there's a lot of responsibility on the one full-time employee. They have a very large amount of additional responsibilities than the other person that's working for them, essentially. At this point, they're at the same level in the sheriff's office. Could this have other impacts in other departments or offices within the county? Absolutely.
So is MSU, are they both at the same level?
No, there's one office manager there, and then there's one part-time person.
And at the sheriff's office, there's an office manager and a part-time?
At the sheriff's office, they're both the same level, and then they're at grade 1, and there's a full-time employee and there's a part-time employee.
we'll be dealing with this like next month, won't we?
Through budget process, you know.
I mean, budget's next month, this month. We started soon.
That'd certainly be reviewing this would certainly be my recommendation to take this up at budget when we go through that process. That way we can do it, that way we don't have a recurring issue and we can set a standard here as to how we conduct business here, I guess. That'd be my preference, I guess, but.
Oh, we've got
Oh.
opinion back there.
I agree with what Commissioner Russell said. I will say the business here and the ones previously in the past, all of them non-union positions. This is a union position.
Right.
MSU office manager is union, and so
But the changes that Commissioner Russell spoke about that have come before you sporadically, most of those are non-union positions, not usually the union positions.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
As long as that's for negotiation, for whatever reason, we'll have to discuss it in 6 months ago.
All right.
Just-
Our administrator.
Just 2 items that I think you should be aware of. When this issue came up, I did suggest to the sheriff that his budget submission be amended to assume this was approved. So we certainly are in a position where you're going to be considering this at budget time, so that's the first thing. The second thing I want to address is the question of whether or not this was a mandatory issue of bargaining because it is a union position. And this is a very nuanced and important distinction that I think you need to become aware of if you're not, and that is the difference between what's called effects bargaining and mandatory bargaining. This is a situation where, as the management, the sheriff could change the job descriptions and he can do that unilaterally under the contract. It doesn't require bargaining, it doesn't require the union to agree to create the position or change the job description. What is required is what's called effects bargaining, where when you make that kind of management change, you are required to bargain on the effects of what is going to happen. What the pay should be if they're, basically things like that, because it's not yet defined in the contract. That's one of the reasons why doing it now makes some sense, because now you can say you will do that, and then, subject to the effects bargaining that has to take place after you've approved that change, the sheriff's change in the job description. I'm not suggesting that's a reason to approve this now, because again, within a month or so, you're going to be involved in that process anyway. But I think it's important that you understand why you might do it outside of the budget cycle, so you can then do the effects bargaining that's necessary. So.
All right, Commissioner Robbins?
What I would like to see here is, I feel like you've done a great job, but you presented the minimum. Researching past experience, I would like to see the sheriff come back and present a package where this position is administrative assistant to him, because most sheriffs do have their own administrative assistants. I mean, you got to look at, they are like, the administrative assistant to the sheriff is part of the staff and command. I mean, they're in there taking the minutes. Their security level is higher than the deputies, because the stuff they have to deal with, the confidentiality. And I think, like I said, you presented the minimum here, but I think we need to, maybe, not me, but the sheriff, under sheriff, research this and make this more of an administrative person, probably even just make it non-union, because usually those positions are at the discretion of the sheriff. A new sheriff comes in, it's his choice, his or her choice, who that administrative assistant is. It's not automatic when you get a new sheriff that person stays there. So I think there's a lot of things that, if you look how it's been done, we can come up with the right plan here. But I think we are asking that position over there to do more than, we're asking them to do more than what their title says.
All right, any other discussion on that topic?
I would just have, Jim, do you have a recommendation on this?
Not really beyond what I've already said, that this is something you're going to need to address. And I think if the sheriff wants to change the job description, I think you should allow that. The question, again, is timing and whether or not you want to do this as part of the budget process or not. I can see both sides of that argument. But some of the things that Commissioner Robbins suggested, I mean, if you were to take this out of the union, that would be a mandatory issue for bargaining, that you couldn't do that without engaging the union first in the bargaining process for that particular decision. But changing the job description of the union employee is certainly within the sheriff's prerogative, and he can do that pretty much at any time. So that part you could approve now. It's the moving of the position from a level 1 to a level 2 that does have budget implications that you need to consider. And again, I think the timing of it is something that you could do now, or wait for a month or so until the budget cycle addresses it directly.
Could we also hear from the sheriff and what happened to that information?
Sure. Way one, I think the politics there is a huge responsibility with that position. And I think what I'm feeling is that let's address it when we do the budget, so that we understand that there is a bit of an issue coming from the taxpayer to think about it. I'll put a proposal through whatever you need, as Commissioner suggested. But I do think that we can wait.
Okay. I guess we'll take this up with budget. We, that point, that's okay.
So no specific action on this item then?
We'll table it.
Just table it?
Do I
Probably,
need a motion to table?
you'd need a motion.
I
to table.
move we table this till the budget session.
Second.
All right, moved and supported, discussion? Not all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, next up, job description updates.
So we have another 4 that are reviewed and adding the physical requirements, and this helps when someone has to be off duty for some restriction. If they haven't heard at work, you know, how can we accommodate them when they come back? All I've done is touch the physical requirements on these job descriptions. I have not done any tweaks in them. You're welcome to review or discuss. But in the agenda, it looks like there was 5 listed, but there's only 4. Just to be clear on that, there's only 4. So you have all 4. Which one on the agenda, which one's not there? The last legal secretary is actually administrative legal secretary is the title. Okay, so we have deputy treasurer, senior planner, administrative legal secretary, and victims advocate? Correct. So exclude on the agenda, the legal secretary.
Right.
Commissioner Algar?
I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners update the job descriptions as listed as presented. Just listed.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported, discussion? All in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, MERS service credit purchase.
So this was a request from an employee at the sheriff's office who would like to purchase 5 years of service credit. We have done this in the past. I brought each one of them to you. It will come out of his, he pays for it. We do not.
Commissioner Algar?
I recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve by resolution that Scott Robinson be authorized to purchase 5 years of general service credit from MERS as described in the application for additional service credit purchase at a cost of approximately $98,560 to be paid by the employee.
Support.
Moved and supported, discussion? All right, state's resolution, is that roll call? No.
Not this time.
Not this time, all right. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. All right, next up, we got building safety contract employee.
Catching the live stream.
Good morning, everybody. I'm almost late. Sorry, I just made it into the building, so I wasn't sure I'd be able to make it for my own presentation. So administrators are coming. So this is something I've been working on with the administrator and with the HR as a way to create potential for filling in slots as things change in the office. So I'm looking at this contract as a stepping stone to bringing in qualified contractors to fill in on a temporary as-needed basis, and then long-term, as vacancies develop in the department, people will use those sites to fill in the slots permanently.
Commissioner Wessel?
I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners allow the Building Safety Department to utilize the contract drafted by corporate counsel to contract with licensed inspectors as needed.
Support.
I do have a question about it, and it sounds like a good solution. If you're paying $325 a day, or a half day, that'd be $650 a day, and then on top of that would be $65 per inspection?
No, the half day is noted strictly if they had to be called in for court-related issues, so anything other than inspectors.
Does this put them above the standard rate that our employees who are doing the same job would get?
I don't believe so. I did run that by Kathy, but it is in line with what Grant Traverse is offering for their contractual.
But what I saw is a possibility of somebody saying, I don't want to be an employee because I can make more doing it on a part-time basis.
The one difference is, as a contractor, they would have to provide insurance, their own insurance, things like that. And most of the people that we're looking at or targeting for this kind of thing are folks that are currently running contracting businesses, as I understand it.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So it's not something that we think would be, we would not authorize this on a daily basis to be used. This is a fill-in kind of thing to help us over the hump of having excessive inspections at any given time.
All right, Commissioner Money, you had your hand?
Yeah, I mean, we've actually hired contract, before in 2008 when there was the downturn, we used contractors to almost completely. And they don't get any kind of benefits, really. They might get, well, you'll probably provide a car for them, or will they use their own car?
They'll use their own car, so that $65 is also considered partial payment towards, mileage.
Right, so they won't get mileage on their car. So, I mean, it really is, it would be beneficial, and I don't see, if you went to a contractor, it means they might not work 3 days a week, so I don't think someone would bill full-time with it unless they had to, and I know all of the contractors that we had in 2008 and on, they actually all came back full-time when that was offered to them. So I do think it's a great thing, and I'm glad you're doing that. I think the contractors will like that, and it gives us some leeway with inspectors.
Commissioner Robbins?
Couple question. What's liability back to the county as far as, well, for one, they're driving their vehicle but doing our work. I mean, is there an issue there? And I guess the other is do improper inspection. Where does the legal part come in? Who's gonna cover who? Do they gotta have their own insurance?
Correct. Yeah, and we need to get certificates of insurance and all
And I
of
guess the
that.
next thing is, I'm not against this, but, we were just told a month ago that you waited 1.5 years to find your last inspector, so I'm just curious about how many people you think are gonna show up for this when we couldn't even find a full-time person.
This is my opportunity to be able to offer something for someone that's not interested in being an employee, is just starting out. I do have somebody in the community on the electrical side that reached out. He's looking to make a career change in the next couple of years, so this tool would allow me to see how he does in our department. It will allow him to see if he wants to pursue this further. So it's a tool to add to my chest to attract people here. I could be finding somebody that's just retired, doesn't want to do this all the time, but is willing to fill in on an as-needed basis, which is what I'm looking for to cover the gaps. That's how I perceive
So
it.
do you see this being more seasonal?
Yeah, if I can attract anybody and I don't have a vacancy, but I know that I've got somebody that's maybe gonna take a cruise to France.
So basically, we're probably trying to make a pool in case we do need somebody.
Exactly.
Like a substitute teacher.
How do you use Ted Klump now? Is he contract?
No, he is listed as an employee, but he doesn't have any benefits. He is the current fill-in inspector for
Right.
Mr. Shop.
Oh, so would he then go to a contract or not?
I don't know, I'd have to discuss that further with the insurance.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, thank you, Amber.
Keep up the good work.
Glad you made it back.
Me too.
All right, next up we have facilities.
I think the first item is for the extension of Spinnaken as our one contract. In 23-24, they got the contract, with the option for 2 one-year extensions. They do a fantastic job. The price is very reasonable, and that's our recommendation is we take them up on their one-year extension.
Okay, Commissioner Wessel?
I move to recommend to the Board of Commissioners that the board policy on bid requirements be waived and approve a one-year extension on the contract with Spinnaker Lawn and Irrigation for county campus lawn mowing at $520 per mow, adding optional spring cleanup at $84 an hour, and updating the optional dethatching rate to $1,500.
Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion?
I just get nervous about us always waiving our policy.
I do, Jim.
Well, if their original contract had the option of renewal for years, we're not waiving our
That is
policy. It was addressed when you initially contracted with them in the first place.
So it is for how many years?
That is, you said 2 years?
There's one, it was,
It looks like it's in here, it's a 2-year and then 2 1-year.
correct.
So when you originally did, or the board that did it 2 years ago had this in mind already.
So then we're not waiving our policy.
Technically, you're not.
I would agree.
You're just exercising your option.
Commissioner, if I can just address that a little bit, because of the nature of where we live, the difficulty it is sometimes to find, specific contractors for specific work, our pool for that is limited. And we can get down into Traverse City, it's kind of like what the sheriff said, you're ending up spending more on the cost of going back and forth or paying for their transportation out there. And I just wanted to comment that I think that's a good tool to keep us from having to do our work twice, but you still have the option, you don't have to renew the contract, but it keeps us from doing our work twice.
So I have a question, do you want that removed from your motion, the waive the bid policy, since it's a renewal?
Might I speak on that? I think it is, we do need it in there. If the price was the same, I would say, okay, then it's just a renewal. But if you're increasing the price, and that wasn't established, I don't think this $30 was established in the original policy, I think you do need to say you're waiving your bid policy, because you're changing the price. It's not the same contract if it's not the same price.
Would you agree with that, Mr. Administrator, or what's your take on that?
I hadn't considered that, so
I'm not saying don't approve it, don't get me wrong, but let's do it and be safe on it.
But I do know even locally, there are other landscape, and mowing people like dunk lows, or there's other ones that are available that could bid.
There's lots of different ways we can do this, and I'm more than happy to, whatever the board directs, I'm more than happy to do it. It's just, I'm telling you that we repeat a lot of our work over and over again, and if that's fine, it's just, you spend a lot of time doing that, and to the point where, I might be my own administrative assistant.
So, question, are we in the final 1 year, are we in the last 2 1-year extension of this?
This is the first of the 1-year extension.
Oh, first the 1 year, okay. Okay. Any other discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, next up we have facilities and maintenance name change.
Yeah, there's 3 basic rationales for this, and I won't just read from what I put in the packet. I'm sure you've all read that already, but basically the motivation for this is to kind of put the title of facilities, or I think it's facilities and maintenance now, to facilities engineering, to make it more in alignment with our actual function. I think that there is a great need for modernization and perception improvement. I think even with the board, I think the perception needs to be improved. I don't think people have an accurate view of everything that goes on. And we have recruitment issues that you've heard about aplenty. And changing it to engineering, it helps attract more talent, more high caliber candidates. When I had to backfill a position for just maintenance worker, it was difficult. We put a lot of responsibility and a lot of trust. These guys are going in and out of the jail, the law enforcement center. They're able to get into any room in this building. And you have to have a high caliber candidate who has some experience, a level of maturity, and responsibility and trustworthiness. I mean, gone are the days when we can just get someone to do yard work for us. You know, that's all contracted out. The infrastructure for the county is building and building, and the human infrastructure needs to go too. I think that's reflected in a lot of these positions. You just heard Human Resources talk about that. I would say stand by for more of the same. You know, we have issues that we have to fulfill in terms of succession, make sure we have continuity, you know, make sure that there's no knowledge gaps. And, you know, one of the things I mentioned on here is modernization. A lot of the systems that we use to keep this building running are outdated, parts are obsolete, some parts are not even manufactured anymore. So I won't get too far into the weeds, but I think this is the start of that. And there's more stuff in that I won't get into now, but it's in my budget, and it's similar to what Human Resources was talking about.
Commissioner Elgar?
It is recommended that Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve renaming the Facilities Maintenance Department to Facilities Engineering as specified above.
Support. Supported. Discussion? Commissioner Bunny?
Yeah, I do think engineering is overstating it. I mean, it is,
I thought you might feel that way, Commissioner, and I prepared some stuff for you.
well, I mean, you just look at the next, what is it, the next motion, it's for engineering. You know, you're gonna hire an engineer, so.
Commissioner, if you don't feel after looking at everything we do starting in March, that's just what we captured in March. If you don't feel that that's not engineering the facilities and all the components to make it work as one cohesive unit.
And engineering is a degree, so we're overstating it if we want to say that we're hiring maintenance people with a degree in engineering. And I understand, we did change the name previously. It was building and maintenance, and that was recommended. So I know we just redid the, you know, your facilities down there. Now, you know, do we want to redo the, you know, the, what would you say, the stationary? Is that really necessary? I think, you know, that it's an overreach to call this a facilities engineering, and when the next thing, we're trying to hire an engineer. I mean, I think we don't need the name change.
And you're entitled to that opinion.
Good.
Any other discussion?
I agree. I don't think that, I just don't think the title is gonna make any difference, and I've never been a big one for titles anyways. I'm more interested in what people accomplish, and I don't mean that as you guys aren't.
Sounds like that is what you mean, Commissioner.
Well, then, let me finish my sentence, sir. What I'm saying is that I'm more interested in what is accomplished. Now, I didn't say you as a person, and you took it to mean you, and that isn't what I mean. I mean making, if you don't mind, sir, what I'm saying is that I don't think the title, it means as much as what is being put into it in this case. Thank you.
Well, respectfully, Commissioner, I think what you think and what I know are two different things.
Mr. Wessel?
You know, when I ran to be a Board of Commissioner member, I wasn't sure that it was going to be a decision I made of what we call our departments. I think that's a decision that the administrator and the staff ought to be making, and I don't feel a need to approve every change. We've done that in the safety department, we've made other changes, and I really think that's an internal kind of a decision.
Any other discussion? Yes, Commissioner Robbins?
I agree with Commissioner Wessel here. I remember about 35 years ago, the Sheriff Association went from Sheriff Department to Sheriff Office, and it was up to the sheriff there. I know the Board of Commissioners back with the department I worked with, they didn't get involved, so I agree. It's between our facilities director and our administrator to probably come up with a plan here and leave us out of it.
Commissioner Elgar?
I guess I just have to say that I think the people doing the work are best suited for naming that work. And I respect that, and I also agree it's not our decision. We don't know.
Here's a question I have. Is it board policy that this came to us, or what was the reason that this was brought to the board?
It was my original belief that I had authority to modify the name of the department if I thought that that was appropriate. I was advised that I should probably not do that. I don't know that there's a board policy necessarily that specifically addressed this, but I've been informed that it has been a past practice that the board takes this action. I would certainly have no problem if you adopted a policy that said I had authority to make these changes.
Well,
But that's not what's before you. Just this one change. And again,
I appreciate you bringing it to us so that it alleviates other complications from other avenues that would distract you from what you're doing. We've already had this distraction conversation. We have a motion on the floor. I just assume we called the motion and into the discussion.
All right, moving on with the vote. All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay.
All right, from my understanding, it passed 4-3. I was a nay as well, so. All right, next up, we have RFP for cooling tower replacement.
I'll address that. All we're asking to do, one of the reasons it's here without a specifically proposed RFP is we just met Friday, the day after the agenda was published. We wanted to put this as kind of a placeholder so we would be able to present an RFP to you to approve at your next meeting. I'm pretty sure we'll be in a position to do that. We've already discussed internally what we need to do, and I've assigned people to take care of that. So I anticipate we'll be able to present an RFP to you, but we want to get it on on this agenda. So, I mean, the condensation we had today had a lot to do with the cooling tower issues and its need for replacement. In terms of whether this building needs engineering or not, in this case, it clearly does.
Mr. Wessel?
I move to recommend that the Board of Commissioners authorize the creation and release of a request for proposals for engineering services and project management for the replacement of the Government Center cooling tower and the humidification system at the Law Enforcement Center.
Second.
All right, moved and supported. Discussion? Not? All in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. All right, next up we got information technology, authorization to issue requests for proposals. Leanna? You got this.
Start there, Mr. Administrator.
Yes, I certainly will do that. I've notified you a couple times about the situation with our current provider, Safety Net. They were acquired by a larger, more national company called Thrive. We tried many ways and multiple options to get them certified for CJIS, handling CJIS information, which is the Criminal Justice Information System. It's things like lien and arrest records, convictions, things like that all the people that have access to that, I had to get CJIS certified just to be in the Sheriff's Department building unescorted. So everybody that touches our computer system has to have that, has to have even an elevated level of qualification, CJIS qualification. Thrive was just not able to do so, and to their credit, even though they've been a little bit difficult to deal with, and I'm sure Leanna would agree with that, to their credit, they indicated that they were, back a month or so ago, told us that they just weren't going to be in a position to fulfill that aspect of the contract. And they initiated a termination notice, which we accepted, and we formed a work group with myself, Leanna, and Matt Ansorgi, who has some emergency management responsibilities, and his computer system, or the computer system that supports 911, is significantly touched by that. A work group to come up with a RFP. We've done that, and it's in front of you for review. We have a listing of probably 8 or 9 potential bidders and of course, we're going to open that up as far as we can go to try to find an ideal solution. Unfortunately, we don't think that we're going to find somebody in the Traverse City area. That's just the way it is. But this is the request for proposals, and if Leanna has anything to add, we'd like to have you authorize us to release it. If it's approved at the meeting on the 19th, we will issue it the next day.
Mr. Wessel?
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners authorize release of NCOA RFP 2025-002 as presented on or before August 20th, 2025, and designate the county administrator to act as purchasing director to be the project manager.
Support.
All right, moved and supported, discussion?
Can I just ask, who wrote the RFP? That's quite a...
The scope was primarily written by Leanna.
Very nice.
And a lot of it was the form that is recommended to us by Cole Stoker, and it was then adapted by Lauren Seifert. And collaboratively, we all the 3 of us on the team and Lauren all did edits and made all kinds of changes to get it to what you're seeing now. So it was really a group effort and a very good one.
Congratulations. I don't know how you made it through that thing, but it looks pretty...
I had something to start with.
Well, it looks pretty tight.
I'm pleased you're ready.
Any other discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, next up we have purchase of time clock plus and ESS.
Yes, we're recommending that, well, let me begin by saying our legal counsel has recommended that we adopt a computerized time tracking system to eliminate, to do a couple of things. To allow greater flexibility with the employees to enter their time, to have it computed automatically so there's no computational errors, and it also provides a lot of, frankly, better backup for questions that arise, whether there's a violation of the Fair Labor Standards Act or something of that nature. So that's been a recommendation that's of long standing. We've looked at it internally as to how we would do that. And even though there's some discussion about replacing our existing enterprise system, basically our accounting software, the cycle to do that is such that if we were to change, we would not be able to implement time tracking software with another system for perhaps another year to 18 months if we were to switch the ERP system and get different financial software. Right now, the computer industry, and in particular, the industry that provides that type of software, is in a real flux between server-based software, which we are using now, and cloud-based software, which stores the stores the data in a distant location. Initially, there were many in government were skeptical about cloud solution, thinking you lost control, number one, and the security wasn't as good. That's actually proven to be wrong. You have greater control because you have access from any location at all, and you have a large company that has as good as Leelanau is in what she does. She's one person and can't manage security 24/7 every day of the year. These companies that provide cloud services can do that, and they do so in a much more robust way than we can. At some point in time, we're going to need to migrate to the cloud, but we're not ready to do that yet. So we're trying to find this proposed solution it integrates directly with our existing software, and we see it as, in all likelihood, kind of the Band-Aid that we would put on this to allow us to have this capability, but not disrupt the existing process of the existing financial software that we use now. There was a lot of work went into this to review it, and it was largely a recommendation from the finance office, which I support, to use the vendor that we currently use for our financial software.
Commissioner Wessel?
Can I ask a question before we get a motion on the floor?
You can.
I wondered and you had a work group, so I don't mean to question that, but does this tie our hands? Will we hear in a year or two, well, now we must stay with Harris because we've just invested in an upgrade to the payroll system, or are we still going to look at everything?
The intent is to look at everything. I'm forming a work group to do that. That is countywide, to consider the needs of everyone that uses that or has or should have access to that software. So yes, this is like I said, viewed as a bit of a stopgap measure, because if we did go and as I said, ultimately we're going to have to go to a cloud-based system. It could be Harris. Harris has a system of that. It could be BSNA. It could be any number of, I'm talking with fellow county administrators as to what systems they're looking at. So it could be any one of those systems, but we need something now to do this, and we do not want to wait to implement this kind of computerized work tracking until we fully replace the ERP software. We don't want to do that.
Have a motion?
Commissioner Wessel?
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners waive bid policy and purchase Harris Local Government Time Clock Plus version 7 and employee self-service software as presented, with allowance for estimated travel and lodging expenses, funds not to exceed $20,000 to come from IT Department capital outlay line item ending in .970.010, and authorize the board chair to sign the quotes for the same.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Discussion? Commissioner Bunny?
Yeah, it just seems like, I think what Commissioner Wessel was talking about, that we might be getting the cart before the horse. I mean, if we're really talking about getting different software, we should almost make that decision first, it seems to me, before we go ahead and buy this system.
The problem is, if we were to do that, we're looking at a minimum of 12 months before we would implement this type of capability. And we needed it years ago. Now, that's the real issue. And then again, the only reason the justification for waiving the bid policy, I meant to mention, obviously, is that this is an existing vendor and their system, and it integrates. That's the big concern of the finance department, and I agree and support that concern, that they want to make sure there's easy integration with this timekeeping system and the existing financial software. And we believe that this will be the case since it's the same manufacturer.
So is our system now failing us?
The system of processing payroll is paper and manual computation entered into the payroll module for Harris. That does the computing, but it is a data entry open window module. This would be starting with the employee on their portal, putting their hours in, maybe submitting a time off request. Their supervisor would approve it, and at the end of a pay period, it gets submitted to payroll. We do upload into our module, so you're eliminating the manual data entry on anyone who has a portal. We will still have some paper timesheets. We're not going to give this to people who are sitting on a commission. I'm talking like planning commission that comes twice a year. We're not going to pay for a license for them to have a portal access. There'll still be some manual timesheets or per diems coming out. But there still will be oversight, there will be proofing, there will be rejections where we say, something's not adding up here, there's something not quite right. It goes back to the supervisor and the employee, but there's an audit trail. Who saw it, who re-entered, who approved it? Because right now, sometimes that gets a little murky, and I think that's where legal counsel is coming from. I was more concerned, as Administrator Dyer said, that it has 12 compatibility with our existing software, and that I don't have a third-party vendor. So I'm dealing with my Harris troubleshooting, a third party that has to, make their program compatible with the Harris upload. If I have trouble, who do I go back to? Who do I use? So that was the concern about sticking with the proprietary vendor, and that we would have them for our troubleshooting. And the fact that we're going under a chart of accounts conversion next week, and that could cause some challenges. We hope it goes smoothly, but we would like to keep as many players out of the kitchen, cooks out of the kitchen, keep, some compatibility for this. This is a one-year contract. If we don't like it, you don't have to renew it. So.
Any other discussion?
Travel and lodging, to have a place you go to study?
They would
They come here.
We're paying their travel and lodging with that.
Yes, they would come here to train everyone. I'm sure there's probably going to be some online training, but there could possibly be on-site, especially for department heads and the elected officials, to understand how they would interact with their employees, understand when they make requests for time off, the scheduling apparatus of it for them. I think would be important to have some hands-on training.
That's a very common contract provision in software installation, because they may have an installation that's 10 minutes away and one that's across country.
Mm-hmm.
So those costs are variable, whereas the cost of the software itself is not. So that's why they do the contracts that way.
And this is a 1 year from the moment I assume it's up and running.
It's a startup cost for both Time Clock and the ESS, which is the Employee Self-Service Portal, and that's 17 plus travel. There will be reoccurring maintenance costs for both of those software programs, but again, it's annual. So
Right.
if you don't choose to renew, it's just the initial startup is the more expensive. The ESS portal is interesting because employees will then have access to their pay stub rather than getting an envelope like you get in the mail.
Yeah.
And they can pull up their current W-2 from 2024. They can go back and pick up their W-2 from 2019. And I don't get a lot of requests for that. It's very easy to go into our scan docs to get those for our employees, but they can do it without even calling. They can change their own address on their account. It would have to be verified and approved. It's not willy-nilly. There's still dual controls. There's still oversight, still approvals, but there'll always be an audit trail, so you know who did it, when they did it, and who approved it.
Thank you.
Is that fair?
Any other discussion?
So was this in the IT budget? No?
I don't think it is.
So does it come out of contingency? I mean, it says here capital outlay,
Well, we have, her budget is underspent significantly this year so far, so we can look at it and decide if we need to make that adjustment. In the future, this renewal will be charged to finance, if I'm correct, in the computer allocation.
Yeah, so originally what will happen is IT pays for the bill, the cost allocation that will be explained to you through your budget process shows you that each department has their allocation that she pays, that IT pays, and then they pay it back. So it'll crisscross, but yes,
It goes to
the
everybody,
funds will
correct?
be there, correct?
All right. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right. Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 6-1.
Is that Rick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
sorry. Thank you.
All right, next up we have administration. Thank you, Leanne. Approval of terminal dam inspection.
Yeah, that is the first item is the Leelanau, or excuse me, the Leland Dam annual, triennial inspection. As I indicated in the EDS, there's every 3 years. The Leelanau Dam is categorized as a high hazard dam by Eagle. That's basically the potential of hazard downstream. I don't know where they come up with that, but that's the designation. I verified it. I verified it online. Yeah, probably. I verified it online. So Spicer Group has proposed a $3,000 cost to do the physical inspection and the report that's required by Eagle. And they are also recommended, because of some repairs that were deferred in the past, that we do a underwater inspection. They proposed the use of a drone for the cost of $5,000, or a human diver for somewhere in the neighborhood of $7,500 to $10,000 is their estimate. Just yesterday, I did get from Spicer Group they got bids from 2 different subcontractors, potential dive subcontractors, and they're recommending one whose bid is $9,500. So the amount would actually be just under the $13,000 that we're proposing. As I said, this is something that we have to do. It's paid by the general fund. There is no assessment to the to Lake Leelanau or either the up or downstream owners of property for the maintenance of that dam based on previous board decisions, but this is the recommendation we're making. And I did indicate in the EDS that the discussion at the Leland Dam Authority was that the next time that this project comes up in 3 years, that it should be bid out, and would be. We actually list on the Eagle website, we list Spicer Group as the engineer of record for that dam. So in some respects, that's who they're expecting to get the report from, but I don't think we're bound by that. But they are identified as the engineer of record. So that's our recommendation to you, and I ask that you support it.
Commissioner Wessel?
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners award the Leland Dam inspection to Spicer Group in an amount not to exceed $13,000 as presented, subject to modification to the general conditions acceptable to legal counsel.
Support.
All right. Supported by Commissioner Walter. Discussion. All right. If not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, next up we have potential referral
items to Building and Grounds Committee. Yes. This is something that, and you'll see in the EDS, there are actually 3 items that we thought might potentially be referable to that committee. You've already dealt with item C, which is the replacement of the cooling tower by adopting the request for RFP. So that one can be eliminated, and it really comes down to 2 questions. The placement of a bulletin board outside the MSU Extension Office, and then the response to the MIOSHA, the Michigan Department of Occupational Safety and Health Administration. And that's one of the reasons that we have the setup that is over on the wall there. It was a recommendation from MIOSHA that there was a tripping hazard with the cords that were running between the desks and along the side, and in particular, the stand that was out, that the camera sat on. And that was one of the things we addressed. We would like to have, for item B, we would like to have that whole report reviewed by the Building and Grounds Committee, and determine what, if any, of those things, how we should address those things. Not so much what we would address, but how we would address those items that have been identified by MIOSHA as things that we should repair or replace. So those are the 2 things, and then we have a recommended motion to simply specify that the Building and Grounds Committee consider either A or B as indicated, since you've already considered C. And I've looked at, your rules are a bit inconsistent on this issue. I don't think it was intentional necessarily, but there is a provision of the rules that allows a committee meeting to be called by the committee chair. And so the committee chair of the Building and Grounds Committee could call this meeting, but then there's also another provision that says, if you're going to have something considered by that, that has to be considered by the full board, and a description of the issue to be addressed by the committee be determined by the entire board. So that's kind of an inconsistency of, can the committee chair call a meeting, but then a meeting to do what if the board hasn't directed them to do it? It may have been that provision just relates to scheduling. I don't know. I don't know what the intent was there, but we do have a meeting scheduled for the 14th, and essentially we're asking you to consider one or more of those 2 remaining items to be referred to that committee for a recommendation to you.
All right. Mr. Wessel? I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners authorize the Building and Grounds Committee to consider issues A, B, C above, with a specific task to consider as recommended in the EDS.
Support.
Again, you don't need C, A and B only, because you've already considered C.
Okay.
So you've already directed us to do the RFP.
Got it.
A and B only.
I would make that a friendly change.
Yeah, I'll spell it out in the motion, just because when someone's looking at it, there isn't an A, B, C, or above. Like, this isn't anywhere listed, so I'll fix it for Tuesday.
Just a follow-up comment to my making the motion. I know why we did that in our board rules, but sometimes it gets awkward. If the administrator and the committee chair decide that there ought to be a meeting, I'm comfortable with that happening.
Yeah. Well, and my recollection is that it was, the Buildings and Grounds was set up when this building was for the decorations on it. They really, and then they came back and they did the decorations, which I think it was held up really well.
Yeah.
Then it was also said we should do something about the outside. And then they also went and did, the design of what went on outside. So it did come from the board for the Building and Grounds, and maybe that's why it was done that way. But I think you're right. It doesn't have to be that way. But I really am nervous about even saying we should talk about a bulletin board on outside of offices, because I just really would think that would be a disgrace to start putting bulletin boards outside offices. So I don't like directing them to look at that.
We are.
I agree with that thought, you know, especially if we start doing this independently, and it doesn't, different organizations might prefer or align to different decors. I like the idea, I brought it up, I haven't since I'm kind of getting acquainted here, but I really think that when you enter this building, that that our mission and this building would be added to or advanced if we had outside some type of a kiosk, if you will.
We have all those bulletin boards.
We have the bulletin boards that people walk right by. But I'm just saying something that, even when we're closed, now, I could see it also being out here. But that would be representative of not just 4-H, but of our meetings, you could have the different elected officials, give them space, let them put up if they want to participate, what they think their mission might be. Because right now, honestly, you look at that board and it's, yeah, good luck getting through everything, but it's just not necessarily something that is attractive to look at.
And if you look at the extension office right now, they're using their door as the bulletin board. And they really would prefer not to do that. They would like to have something that is, they need to get that stuff out in an area when, even particularly when their office door is shut, things like that. They're the ones that really asked for this. And I don't see any reason that it not at least be submitted for consideration to the Building and Grounds Committee.
Go ahead, Commissioner Navarro.
I would hate to think that we are that controlling that somebody can't put up a bulletin board.
Wow.
Especially MSU, that has lots and lots of information that the public needs. You know, they're gonna post things, information for the public about opportunities. I would totally support a bulletin board outside an office. Because you're right, they use the door now.
All right, Commissioner Walter?
Well, that's true, and we need a public notice space, is basically what that bulletin is. So, public comes up, they can look at that bulletin board and say, okay, we've got a meeting, or this meeting's canceled, or whatever, and that's fine. I see the intention of having the placement of those things approved by the building committee, because we don't want just stuff going up that we don't know about, and we want to set a standard of decor. So, I can't come in here and say, you know what? This would look really nice if we hung a picture of the 2004 board on the wall and hang it on the wall. We don't do that because everything has to be controlled. How we do this, the placement of the pictures that we did in the hallways, all of that. So, that is a responsibility, and somebody's got to be responsible for that, and who else would that be but the building
I was just saying.
and grounds committee, you know what I'm saying? So that if we do something and they want something, they want to put it in, then we should hold it to a standard that's appropriate for a professional building. And that's our ability to do that. So it seems kind of stupid, but it's not. We want to make our decorum what it should be.
To confirm, I agree with you. I just don't think we should X out the ability to have one.
Right.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion carried 6-1. All right, next up we have acceptance of the spring 2025 2% allocations.
Yeah,
I'd like to
essentially you
divide-
have three, acceptance of 3 allocations and 2 contracts. The probate court bike and trailer equipment does not require a contract because there's it's just the purchase of a specific asset. But so you have items C, D, and E. That C is to accept the 2% allocations that were awarded by the tribe, and D is to accept the agreement for services with Safe Haven, and E, the agreement for services with Inland Seas Association, consistent with the grant awarded by the tribe.
Commissioner Bunny?
Yeah, I'd like to have a division of the question, please.
Go. All right, Commissioner Wessel?
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners accept the 2% grant award for Inland Seas Education Association.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Discussion? Commissioner Bunny?
Yeah, I mean, I think what was stated at the opening here at public comment was very direct and something that we need to consider, you know, when we're giving that amount of our 2%, you know, payment in lieu of taxes to a nonprofit. What county facilities, governments, whether it's Sutton's Bay School, Northport School, you know, the townships, or that are not receiving government funding because of that. There were only about 50% of the requests were fulfilled from the tribe. So when we do this, we're not only giving 47% of our money, you know, payment in lieu of taxes to a nonprofit, we're also taking it from other Leelanau County governments that are requesting funds. So I do not support us taking that money for inland seas.
All right, any other discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion carried 6-1. Oh, was it 2? Commissioner Campbell as well?
No, I voted yes. Did you vote, how did you vote, Mark?
Nay.
Oh, Mark, okay, 6-2, or 5-2. All right. Commissioner Wessel?
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners accept the 2% grant award from the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians and enter into agreement with Safe Haven in order to disperse the funds.
Support.
All right, was that the motion? Did you just, is that a motion just to accept the 2%, or was that to enter into agreement?
The first one he didn't say into agreement, he just said to accept them, so I don't know if you want to wait, because
They were
the
intended to be
next
separate.
agenda item
Yeah.
does loop them both together and say enter into agreement.
Okay, I was reading here, but I'm.
Yeah, I think you just want to accept
Okay,
this.
I'll change my motion. I move to accept the 2% grant award from Grand Traverse Band for Safe Haven.
Okay, there's support for that?
Support.
Motion made, supported, discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, we got one more to accept here, which is the bike trailer equipment. Commissioner Wessel?
I move to the Board of Commissioners accept the Grand Traverse Band award for bike trailer and equipment for the probate and family court.
Support.
All right, it's moved and supported, discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, now we're up to number D, which is the agreement part of it. Commissioner Wessel, go for it.
Raise your hand, Mark. I move to recommend the approval of the contract with Safe Haven and Inland Seas Education Association as presented, authorizing the chair to sign and enter into agreements for services with Safe Haven and MMC's Education Association in order to disperse the funds.
Support.
All right,
Sorry.
moved and supported, discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Okay.
Motion carried 6-1. Those were linked together, right? You had
Yes,
the last two together.
the agenda has them separate, but we'll just
Okay.
change that for Tuesday night. It was
Okay.
on the consent, or not
Yep,
consent.
correct.
That they're one motion, one agenda item.
All right,
Thank you.
with that, we'll move on to number 10, Board of Commissioners opioid fund presentation. I believe Commissioner Campbell wanted that on here, or administrator? or-
I did, you're welcome to address it, because I know you had talked to.
I could just give a little bit of the background. In fact, just this week, we've received, I don't know how much, Kathy, about how much? $48,000 in opioid settlement, and there are at least 2, if not 3, additional settlements teed up to accept. You'll have at least 2 and possibly 3 on your agenda to authorize the acceptance of that settlement from a couple of the manufacturers, a couple of the small distributors. These are kind of the smaller settlements compared to the bigger distributor settlement that occurred before. But right now, we're receiving funds, we're holding them. We have had one contract, and I wasn't here when it was adopted, so I don't know the history of how it got to the point where you awarded that contract. But there's, MAC has basically a full-time employee that's helping counties decide how to, not just who to give it to, but what process you use to have the public involved in making that decision. A number of counties use committees, study committees of their board or of citizen members. There's a number of different ways it's done. And what in working with Commissioner Campbell, we suggested that we bring the individual, that the MAC employee, to come here to our September, I believe it was a September 9th meeting, if I remember right.
Our executive meeting.
Yeah, to the executive meeting in September, and have her come and give a presentation on what options are available, so you can decide, we're going to have a process, we're not going to have a process, we'll consider things individually, whatever it is you decide, but she will present some of those alternatives to you. And I've spoken to her by phone, she's very eager to come here, and the comment that Commissioner Campbell made in his request to have this on the agenda, she's happy that we're the 75th county, I think it was 75th or 76th county, that has contacted her out of 83. So we're kind of jumping on the train, and probably something we should do. So all we're really doing is at this point is to set the meeting for her to come on September 9th.
Mr. Money?
Yeah, I was wondering what's happened with the drug, coalition that we put together, that was run by I think Vic, was it Morrow, and then it was by Miss Tenbrink.
Between the Family Coordinating Council and LIFT.
Yeah.
They're currently doing it.
Okay, so I mean, we do have that, and I think she was paid, I don't know that, I thought she resigned, but I know she was paid through, it could be through that funding.
I don't know the history of that, but.
I don't think it was paid through.
No, it wasn't, I'm saying.
It's paid from liquor tax and, liquor tax and I think some marijuana.
Right.
Right, but I'm saying that could be taken care of that way.
Well,
Yeah.
that organization has not, I mean, I was a member of it, we've met once this year. She announced that she was leaving, there was someone else appointed, but really, it's not been very active, honestly.
Okay.
It's kind of unwieldy, there's a lot of members of it, and and not quite, they worked hard for a long time, and this is an entirely different pot of money, and every commissioner that I talked to at our meeting, our Northern Michigan Counties Association, said that they had requested RFPs from the general public. I really like that idea. That's why I wanted to get this on the agenda this month so that members of the public and members who may be of interest can start thinking ahead and maybe attend that meeting and listen to the parameters and what she has to say. The idea of us internally deciding what to do with that money doesn't have near the appeal to me as it does listening to folks who may be in the field and folks who may be a little closer to the subject. So that's why I put it on there, just so that we can alert the public. This is a lot of money. I mean, I think by the time it's done, because you get to collect the interest that you make on the money, we haven't really spent anything on it. I think it's going to be like $1 million through the next 13 years. So, and I know the sheriff may have some ideas, folks such as that. So anyways, that's why it's there, just to alert everybody.
Kathy? Yeah.
I was just going to give a bit of history. It is different pots of money. There was a substance abuse grant that we were the fiduciary funnel for the LIFT group, and it got to be a bit burdensome. So we, under a former administrator, Deb Allen, had the board relinquish the fiduciary responsibility to, I believe, Catholic Human Services. So they're still looking, I don't know if that grant's closed, but we relinquished being a funnel because it was really just, it was a machination of administration. And so that was released. The opioid settlement money that Administrator Dyer and Commissioner Campbell are describing is opioid settlement money. In May, I sent you your toolkit that the Attorney General puts out. You currently inherited the contract that Administrator Dyer was referring to with Leelanau Family Coordinating Council, led by Sharon Breland. They use United Way as their fiduciary. They have a contract where they cite which aspects of the opioid settlement that the Attorney General has approved, what role they're playing in particular citations, and what they work with, LIFT, senior services, probate court. I'm trying to think of other people in the building. It's a coordinated group of people that meet. They will be in your budget book. They are asking for a renewal of that contract. So I think, but you have more money. It's their contract 64,000.
Their contract's 64,000, you said, every year?
They've only had 1 year, and you've only used, oh no, was it 2 we looked at? I think it is 2.
There were 3 payments.
So maybe we are in our 2nd year.
We'll talk about that, I'm not so sure, but.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that.
Yeah.
But they are asking to renew, but there is additional funds. And I think I sent the toolkit to you again.
And I'd like to add that these people are working on this kind of thing all the time. These are people who are on the ground doing work, and I totally support what has been created. Having been on the sub-board, it's really difficult actually to come up with programs because there are so many requirements. And it's helpful that they know how to work on these programs. Lots and lots of specifics.
All right, so my understanding is, Commissioner Campbell, you're requesting a presentation September the 9th.
Yeah.
We don't need a vote on that, we can just, we can agree on that, right?
I would agree that you don't need a vote, but just to make sure everybody understood the reason
right
for it, and we could have a discussion as to whether you wanted to even pursue that or not.
Okay.
We're on her schedule, and I'll confirm that you guys are interested to hear from her.
All right, sounds like you got a general consensus for that, so go with that. All right, next up we have review of financials.
Any questions?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay,
Sorry.
You got 30 seconds.
okay. And
I think he said shut up on that.
Yes. Better him than me.
Got staff reports?
Sure. I'm just going to hit a few highlights. I think some of you were copied in on an email from the Cannabis Regulatory Agency. They're looking for our mood grant submission. I did submit it on deadline because that was on last month's meeting, so I resubmitted and showed them that I did meet their deadline. So it's the first time I'm working with the Cannabis Regulatory Agency in the grant report, so I guess we're getting to know each other. We have chart accounts conversion. It'll start next Thursday at 3 o'clock. We're working with the treasurer's office and the clerk's office and the sheriff's office because they do receiving into Harris. So we're going to work collaboratively to go through a smooth 4-day, hopefully, chart of accounts conversion. Let's see. We will have a presentation of that conversion to the department heads and the elected officials tomorrow at Administrator Dyer's leadership meeting so that they understand, and will be provided with spreadsheets so they know what their old number was and what their new number is. There are some that aren't going to see any changes at all because the former administration of finance in the clerk's office had already looked ahead and saw the chart was going to change, so new things were already implemented. So it isn't going to change everyone's life, but we do need to be compliant. I recently joined the Michigan Government and Financial Officers Association. I have my staff in class with me today. As soon as we're done, we go back to a webinar. And I'm going to ask them to come out and bring your budget books right now. These budget books are a proposal for you to start your budget workshops with. And each one of you, when you get the book, when you get your book, you're going to take your CIP that you approved today
We were just
and
waiting
put it
for
in the
that.
very back. So
No dollars? You wish you had one though.
Thank you.
Is that the right name on the back?
No, but this
I think
one,
we
I
might
think
need
it's
that.
just I want to publicly thank Elizabeth and Mike because of all their work on putting this together for you today. It takes a great deal of coordination and a lot of keeping track of our inventory of packets that go out when they come back. And if I didn't have these two, those would not be in your hands today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In a little bit. So take your CIP that you approved today, open your book and put it in the back, that's why there's holes. And then it becomes the last item in your book, if you use it as a tool. If you Now, over the next week, because I think your first proposed budget workshop is a week from today, but I will defer to Administrator Dyer on the schedule of that. Between now and then, if you want to learn how your book is put together, it's no different than prior years. It's our repeat commission.
Repeat it.
Administrator Dyer, we might put your CIP in there.
Do it later.
You're welcome. So I think between, I believe it's probably your budget workshop process. Between now and your first meeting, I think if you're going to zero in on anything, you might want to go to the supplemental, which is the last tab in your book. And these are the narratives that certain department heads or elected officials have decided to submit. They want you to read about their department, their requests, so that when you ask them to come, you might have some prior knowledge as to what they might be asking you about, to see if you will allocate or create them. This is 200 pages. I read through it twice, So, I will have a summary worksheet so I can help you keep track of things you consider, things you approve, things you would say, we need more information, things that you say, probably not. So you, running a list for you so you can tell me and the administrator what you approve and there is a summary right in the front packet so that you understand how money flows through the general fund funds. Because we have money that goes from the general fund to specific funds like community corrections, 911 dispatch, Veterans Memorial. And this is no different than what you've seen in past years, very similar. And then there's transfers back into the general fund because by cost allocation, the general fund performs services for inmate housing, solid waste, for residence audit, CPLs. We do all their accounting for them, so they pay the general fund back for the costs of your work, my office's work, the administrators' work, buildings and grounds, things like that, just things that, I shouldn't have said buildings and grounds, that's a different allocation. But anyway, this is just something that you're accustomed to seeing, so you see how money flows out of the general fund and back from enterprise funds or whatnot, back to the general fund. So if you have questions on just getting to know your budget book so that you're ready, feel free to contact me. If you need to know where something is, I can point you to a page. And if you have pre-budget workshop questions, it helps our office because unlike Chief Deputy Wicki, I do not have my dentist. That's all I have.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. Take a little break. Well, we're up to public comment, so we can roll with that. Huh? All right, we'll move on to public comment. You got 5 minutes. Anything you want to address us with? Any public comment? Mr. Mikowski?
Good afternoon. In recent years, we've enjoyed a peculiar phenomenon in this county by successive commissions, particularly this one, being obsessed with certain things. The first of all is the premise that's being imposed here is that all young people, once they turn 18, must be assured affordable housing. But that's going to change to another term. That is a totally different description. So I don't know what we're doing here, but this commission is well on its way to using taxpayer dollars to subsidize housing. The other thing is that in early childhood, there's less than 1% of the county, 20,000 people that are served by it. But it seems to be a impression that the young people who are married and decide to have children must be subsidized. Because for some reason they're deemed incompetent by government authorities. And none of this is involved in the requirements of the MCL 46.1. The next item I have is the interesting events that occurred on August 7th and also occurred on June 10th. It's a peculiar process used by the chairman as to contact the legal counsel shortly before meetings on 2 recent occasions. It's a peculiar modus operandi so that the chairman seems to have privileged information before the meeting that other county commissioners do not have. in the form of a legal opinion, either verbal or written. This occurred at the special session last week, minute 9.2 seconds. And then it also occurred on the June 10th consecutive meeting. I'll just read the statement, it's in minutes. Chairman Yoder commented he was aware of some of the questions that may come up and asked the administrator for each part of the legal counsel to give a legal opinion. So I trust that we trust the people that the long dialogue meeting we had last week for an hour and 10 minutes. This issue, this type of issue has been resolved so that these type of practices no longer occur for county commissioners, because we come to the fact that one county commissioner has information, legal counsel information, and the rest you don't. And if you're happy with that, just keep on doing it. It's okay with us too, but your election would be in jeopardy in the future. Finally, we have, again, a missing item on the agenda. That is the need for the following resolution from the clerk and the taxpayers for the clerk loading motion of May 11th, 2021. These are many requests, and it's an apology is needed, because that motion was made without a plan, no discussion with the clerk, no need, necessity, justification, or benefit report. And we urge this board to do this. We have made a similar request to our township board for 2 actions required. We've done it for 29 years at every township meeting. And would you believe no supervisor, no township board member would come to us about those corrections needed. They allow that statement to appear on the minutes of the meeting for the last 29 years and never make an effort to resolve it. So I urge you, take the action with the apology as soon as possible. Because once you do that, you are free to move forward and get rid of that noose that's around your neck. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other public comment? Mr. McCallie?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Tim McCauley from Leelanau Township. The most recent ticker called it unanimous vote of full confidence. Monday's Leelanau Enterprise Extra called it a unanimous vote of confidence. Both are accurate, only if you watch the opening meeting. The public record also includes your own written evaluation forms released by this board, now reported by both the ticker and the enterprise. They contain bipartisan concerns. One commissioner wrote that Mr. Dyer's decision to unilaterally assume oversight of the county affordable housing program means before informing the planning director to do not inform all commissioners about personal decisions heading toward violating his contract, is a significant problem. Another commissioner wrote that productivity has been curtailed by continued non-county activities and urged him to focus more on the county budget and business. These concerns are reflected in his 2 lowest category scores, 3.7 in administration and 3.8 in productivity, even as other areas score higher. These are non-partisan attacks. There are major statements from this board pointing directly to patterns of behavior that affect how this county is run. Yet after closed session, all 7 of you offered unanimous praise. No one voiced the concerns we had just documented in writing. Adding to the irony, Mr. Dyer himself said in open session he was proud, absolutely proud, of his work and welcomed public discussion of his performance. This was your opening to be candid, balanced, and constructive in front of employees and citizens. You didn't take it. Perhaps thinking togetherness mattered more than openness. When Mr. Dyer referred to you as his fellow commissioner before correcting himself to board members, it reinforced the perception that he sometimes acted as an unelected, elect commissioner. This makes it even more important to set clear boundaries and expectations. People and county staff deserve transparency. Were there verbal commitments in closed session to address Mr. Dyer's patterns of behavior? And if so, why not state them publicly so citizens and employees will see real accountability in action? Even our local paper doesn't seem interested in digging in and reporting all facts. For example, in earlier coverage of Mr. Dyer's Cherry Lane elected candidacy, Enterprise reported that criticism persisted despite an opinion from legal counsel to the contrary. What they didn't tell readers was that we understand Mr. Dyer was directly involved in the trust fee, narrowly framing that legal opinion, not the full board. This makes it even more important for this board to lead by example and be fully transparent. If you truly have full confidence, you should also have full confidence in aligning your private concerns with your public needs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Mr. Wiesner?
Bill Weezer, Elmwood Township. And to have full confidence in our elections, there's only one way, one person, one ballot, one vote, and one day. That's real important too. Don't stretch it out. It may be a little inconvenient. It's been inconvenient for a whole lot more years than it has been inconvenient. In other words, we've had one election day elections for a lot longer in our country than we've had, weeks of them. That just invites fraud. And we don't want any fraud, no fraud. And after, hopefully you watch this video that is mentioned in this handout, thanks to a person who was notified others about this talk on Alex Jones yesterday. It was posted on Sigma, so thanks to that person. But Patrick Burns joins the Alex Jones Show, 8/11/25. This will be posted on the county site after I send it in, and thankful for them to do that. And you can link right to it. Watch from 1 hour, 19 minutes and 35 seconds to 2 hours, 14 minutes and 35 seconds. That's like about 55 minutes minus the 15 minutes of ads, 40 minutes. And they cover a lot more in this. And it's not just the United States, it's all over the country. And he links it back to these different places. Every clerk in the county should certainly watch this. And just to be apprised. We keep hearing, this is secure, this is secure. No. So many people don't think it's secure. Watch this video. I think you'll realize why. And in the charts, I duplicated a couple of them by mistake. I just put together this morning, didn't have time to listen, I listened to most of it at 2 times speed. But I took these just to show you some of the charts they have in there. And he refers to all of them. He doesn't go into depth on them. But like on the second chart there on the first page, USAID, U.S. Agency for International Development. Yeah, we've read all about USAID with what happened earlier this year, and they found out the fraud and disbanded most of it for good reason. They're developing things the way they want them to. And the CEPPS, it's mentioned on the chart, is Consortium for Election and Political Process Strengthening. Yeah, they strengthen what they want to strengthen, and they take away the vote of the people, though. That's what's happening, in my opinion. On the second page, list the charts again, and you see on the bottom there, Trump ally says Venezuela has $25 million bounty on his head. He flees to Dubai. You know, I've heard talks from him that were given from Dubai. And also just the Attorney General Hambani just put $50 million reward on Venezuelan leader to find more information. I guess that was on drugs, but it also referred to, in this article, it says about the $50 million thing. It says, Maduro, who returned to office in January following an election marred by vote rigging allegations, the results were widely rejected by the international community. What are we doing when there's such a simple solution? We maybe make the precincts smaller if need be. This is the most important thing, to know that people have confidence that it's real outgoing by the people. Simple solution. 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and a camera for everything else. The sheriff wants cameras, which have a downside of maybe snooping too much. For our elections, there's no downside. Have the cameras rolling. And you just go through, and I urge you to watch this. It's like 40 minutes of your time, and they really do talk about a lot more things that are details about what's going on. And just to repeat here, what it says on the front page, breaking, live, Doge investigation proves the CIA and USAID worked with Communist China, George Soros' Open Society Foundation, and Venezuela to steal the 2020 election and establish an election grid. And this has been going on for like 20 years. You'll hear that. 72 countries. Thank you for your consideration. Please watch the video.
Bill,
Thank you.
any other public comment? Mr. Hosking?
Terry Hosky, Northport. Wasn't going to say anything, but I just wanted to second what Tim said. And I want to say we're watching. Employees are watching. And some people care about the rules.
Any other public comment? All right. If not, we're up to commissioner comments. Commissioner Bunny?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that our facilities engineering has set up this camera, and so you can see why, this is why we're all pushed down here, through their engineering. And also, you notice that they have a monitor here blocking the clerk's monitor, because the camera, it cannot be looking at what she has there. So I just wanted to make a note, let you make a note of that until they raise this up and re-engineer it, we'll all have to sit like this.
I don't have a problem with it.
I know, you're friendly.
All right, any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Campbell?
I had a couple of things. One is on, we had talked before about special meetings and how to set them up. And according to our board policy, how our special meeting was set up was according to our board policy.
Correct.
And so the proper way, according to what we've been given from past boards, is to actually set a date and a time, sign a paper saying such with the clerk, and then if the clerk gets 2 more commissioners to sign, then that is how, that's how a policy, or how a special meeting is set. So unless we go through and change that, that's the way it is, but I'm open to ideas about changing it. And let me finish up what I was gonna say, okay? Just because that way I don't have to go back. You can get rid of me in one full swoop. Okay. The other thing, just to be consistent, I just thought of this last night when I had questions when I was at the Leelanau Township Board meeting about our special meeting, and I found myself not being able to go into too much detail, although you can overview on the opinion that we received from our attorney on what a conflict of interest is. And I would like to release that. I'm not trying to burden you with the last second thing, but I think that's a good policy for this board to release our attorney's opinions, because it is the public that's really paying for them. And I really do believe in openness. So maybe I guess I'm not sure what the most appropriate way is, but maybe, I would ask to have the agenda amended at the last meeting. I'm really open to ideas as long as we stay as open as possible for the folks that we represent. That's my thoughts.
All right, Commissioner Algar?
I was speaking of beyond policy in the past. If we wanted to ensure everyone could come to a meeting, we found out what days people were available, and that's a courtesy both to commissioners and to the boards we're on. We've made a commitment to attend board meetings, and I feel very strongly about that commitment. And I missed one, so it's a courtesy thing to check out when people can come to your meeting. And we've done it in the past. So it depends on whether you want everyone to be able to come or not, but honor our other commitments to other boards. I take those commitments extremely seriously.
Mr. Wessel?
Mr. Campbell, we can always add a late addition for a request like that.
Okay.
I mean, anytime a commissioner, if the timing is such, as one commissioner, I'd be open to saying at the beginning of the meeting, you'd like to add that to the agenda.
I appreciate that. If we want to change how we set up those special meetings, I'm just saying we need to have a discussion on it, because that's, as it is now, our policy doesn't leave room for, and certainly we couldn't round robin and ask everybody. It has to be, well, normally.
No,
it
that
would be the
doesn't mean
clerk.
you can't just check out people's availability.
The administrative assistant has always done that, and she has all of our cell phone numbers. She can contact us, send us a text or an email and say, trying to schedule a meeting, here are a couple of dates, are you available? That's how it's been done for the last 10 years. Wow.
And I'll address what Commissioner Campbell said. What you addressed originally, that nothing was violated. I agree 100%. And I think if we want to change something in the future, let's change something in our board policy to do that. I understand what was done now. Nothing was violated in that sense. So I think what Commissioner Algar is requesting is something, in the future, let's look at our board policy to see how we go about that, and that'll address some of the concerns that are coming up, I guess. So
Thank you, that's exactly right.
that'd be the easy way to fix it, I guess. So.
Board policy.
All right.
You have a board policy, you haven't been following it, let's align the two. We're all in agreement on what needs to
All right.
happen.
Commissioner Robbins?
I want to add to that, because I thought about it since last Thursday. I mean, we all ran how we want to save you people in the back row tax dollars. And that was a special meeting, and if you do the math, we could have did that today. Of course, it would have been a long day, but that meeting last Thursday cost the taxpayers about $1,000. And you're the watchdog for taxes.
Thank you, Rick.
All right. Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Bunny?
Yeah, no, I think that the way that meeting was called was perfectly fine. It's been called that way all the way along. I don't ever remember it going round robin when I was here. There were several meetings called where I specifically remember Rick Robbins not showing up, and it was called, we had a meeting on Tuesday and it was called that Monday. And so to say that it's always been done that, I think is a misnomer.
All right. Well, I'll end on a high note. I want to thank our administrator for putting that agenda on we had something on the agenda for the software. That's something I've been hearing just from different departments, something that they've been wanting for a long time. So the fact that you got that done, and we're able to bring that to a board for us to review and stuff, I think is something that, yeah, I was happy to see, and I think a lot of employees in here are happy to see as well. I've heard a lot of them, even departments, employees reaching out to me and wanting that to be done. So I appreciate you getting on that and doing that. So I want to thank everything that you're doing. And I know it's not an easy job, but I think you're doing a heck of a job. So appreciate it. With that, we'll move on to approval of financials.
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we approve claims and accounts for $495,609.97.
Support. All right, moved and supported. Discussion? Not all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0.
Sorry. Make a motion to approve post audit for $2,583,906.93.
Support. All right, moved and supported. Discussion? Not all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're adjourned.